It has been quite some time, but I'm so excited to welcome you all back to Stories to D4. We've had a chaotic couple of weeks, and in just a moment, we'll get to jump right back into the adventures of the Defiant Smiles. I know we're excited, I know y'all are excited, can't wait for us to get started. We've had freak weather, we've had technology issues, including a big network outage here at the studio. We've had some other high challenge rating encounters that have just kept us away from the table for a little bit. But tonight, that all ends, and we get to go on another adventure. Just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already seen it, we had our Creator Showcase, which was a special one-shot that we got to create alongside, we got to collaborate with a few other creators who made classes and settings and other forms of homebrew for 5th edition and other tabletop games. And we got to integrate that all together in a magical girl, dream world, Feywild shenaniganry sort of one-shot. If any of what I just said sounds great, you should absolutely check out our Creator Showcase over on our YouTube channel. But before we do our session recap, I really want to open things back up to my friends and some of the best people around here. We are all dressed up for the trial. I appreciate it. The court respects that. Alex, can you please bring us to all the players?
Do we get bicycles for dressing up?
We put on BizCash.
BizCash?
BizCash.
We dressed for
Try
this.
typing that.
I refuse to type that.
This is casual?
B-I-Z-C-A-J.
Yeah, this is casual.
But yeah, the letter J is.
I'm at least wearing a t-shirt. Like, I'll accept this. This is just nonsense.
I want a jacket.
Jake's going to church.
Jake's only got a jacket. Actually,
Sunday mornings, it's a thing.
it is Sunday morning, just for Jake. Rain is falling.
I'm so upset. Can I take a bicycle from Kola? No! That's the opposite of what I want.
These? Earn them.
Oh!
So,
Crime.
welcome back, everyone. It's been a while. Connor, it's been quite some time since you've graced us with some incredible usage of optimization and just clever tactics. Jake, your puns have been... Nope, I can't lie. They've not been missed. But I missed you, Jake.
Aww.
Amanda, I'm so excited to get to really meet Mycilia, meet this new character. We all, of course, love and miss Gwynwyn, but there are new adventures and new stories to tell here on the channel. Victoria's here too.
Kalala looked more offended than Victoria. Go back.
Kala like opens the blazer to reveal Victoria's #1 fan.
On the back.
Oh, it's on the back. It's on the back. But no, Victoria and Kala, I have to say, you've had some amazing synergies with your characters recently. Some great role play, some great mechanics, and I'm excited to see how all of these things all these characters, all of these different skills and role-playing abilities come together for tonight's trial. The recap for tonight is going to be very short. You all are in chains. You're all imprisoned. But how are you doing? I want to know before we get started tonight. How's everyone doing?
I'm in a goofy, silly mood.
We all have chaotic
Same,
energy
yeah.
and
We're
it's
gonna go
very
more
high.
Judge Judy, I think.
I was gonna go more
Dun,
Phoenix.
dun, dun.
I'm gonna yell at you. Accept it.
Okay, so it's just,
Oh, is it that time?
it's
It
just
is that
civil
time.
court. Okay, I got
It's civil court.
I'm halfway through a bottle of wine and
Okay.
I haven't drank enough for this.
We haven't been watching Jake.
No one ever does.
But no, I'm really excited about this. I have a couple pages of notes in preparation for the trial.
You
So
came over with like a case log.
I am ready to
How many Legal Eagle videos have you watched in preparation for
No,
today's session?
it's how many Phoenix Wright games have I played?
Oh, perfect.
Are you in the wrong profession?
Yes. Are we all?
But yes, so my players have been preparing their defense. There's been I've heard of several group chats that I am not privy to. There's been all sorts of shenaniganry going on in the background.
How else are we gonna plan to argue against you?
That's
we can't
fair.
do it in front of you.
Yeah.
You could.
We have to whisper in a dark corner.
Yeah.
But I suppose if there's nothing big, we could get into that recap. I think we're gonna hold. I don't believe we're gonna do Crit Corner this week. I think we're going to.
There weren't any dice rolls last session.
No, there was
no
one.
shot.
I made an
there was
No way.
There was a dice roll. There were no 20s or 1s last week. Not last week at this point. 4 weeks at this point.
Blank people.
I actually see 7 20s from Silas.
Well, in that case, let's talk about not last session, but just let's do a quick recap to get you back to where we are right now. The Defiant Smiles were successful in taking down Mr. Bugarda, a powerful criminal in the West End who had been claiming territory, but in the process also putting the party in a tough spot. Several of Bugarda's actions, as well as maybe a couple other nefarious actors, have put the Defiant Smiles in the sights of the military of Eltz. Now our heroes have been put in chains, brought to the castle, and placed within the ransomers wing of Castle Mudrust. Even though our heroes have fought dragons and wizards, bandits and lizards, tonight they faced a brand new form of challenge. Trial before the people of Eltz. The High Judge, a dwarven woman and one of the High Lords of Eltz, is here to determine the fate of our party. They have some time left to prepare. They have a couple of plans going on behind the scenes, and plenty of allies here within this silken ransomers wings, sort of prison for political emissaries. It's not as rough as your average dungeon. It's got nice, comfy rooms, but don't be fooled. They are quite trapped unless they can fight for their freedom. Let's start our session here within the ransomers wing.
Can we actually just talk about how thick that thing of post-it notes are?
You all were freaking out at the post-it notes during recap. That's a lot of post-it notes.
We're gonna need them.
Are we?
We do whisper a lot. We send a lot of messages around. To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fun.
To be fair.
So, you all are here within, you are within Castle Mudrust. Here in Shelt, the island in the middle of the city of Eltz, attached to that bay and the river, you are in this beautiful sort of like luxury series of suites. But you know that the door leading out of the wing is magically reinforced. Not impossible, but difficult to remove yourself from. In addition to our 4 party members, we have these 4 members of the Defiant Smiles. We have someone new who is present, Mycelia, an elven woman who you know a little bit, but I'm hoping we'll learn some more about. In addition to that, you also have the other members of the Defiant Smiles who have been arrested alongside you. You got a couple days before the trial proper.
Did they make Mycelia stay with us in the prison?
No.
She's a good
Mycelia
girl.
has been one of your runners. As you've made some of these preparations, you've been sending out requests, having Mycelia send letters. You've been very helpful.
I can cast sending, so you know.
You also have your items while you're inside.
Yeah.
As a priestess of my goddess, I must ask for a massive favor.
Okay.
I don't know the state of our home, but I know there's a room you need to get into that's usually locked. So I'm going to teach you the secret handshake. I want you to grab the gigantic stack of papers that's on the left side of the desk underneath the glowing rock. Ignore the glowing rock. It's not needed for this. And then there's a basket underneath the bed that is just full of these weird notes. So here, I'm gonna teach you the little handshake. You're gonna handshake the door. You're gonna say, "Mini's the best wizard who's ever lived," and then you're gonna go in
Elvish.
and you're gonna have to go in and grab these 2 piles of papers because I think it's gonna help our case.
Also,
Turns to Alan goes, is she okay?
Can you also get my diary while you're there?
I'm just very intense right now.
You did mention you carry Mr. Book the
Can
second.
I have it back?
It's
and if
been
you,
confiscated.
I know. Can I have it back?
Read it.
I need it.
I know for a fact
That has
these
evidence.
exist. They make these little cards and they say, "Get out of jail for free."
For free.
Are you all
I think we
discussing this
need
in the
some.
sort of the fine dining
Yeah.
hall? Long table, 2 long tables stretched the long ways across
I'm
the room.
specifically asking for Zarathal's notes.
Yeah.
And I don't know where in all of our belongings the notes from
Jared's notes.
the assassins thickeners.
Oh, yeah.
Those are inside of our belongings.
Reminder,
Those are in
those
our
you
belongings.
have in your belongings.
Yeah.
Okay, so if they will let you take those.
Are you trying to review them before the case, or are you saying to bring them to the trial? All of your things will be available at the trial.
Bring them to the trial because we'll be using those as evidence.
False.
I've written a
Guard
backup character
orders.
just in case.
I have a lot of plans for this, and one thing we need is Zarathal's notes.
Yeah, that's gonna be fair.
I need to also
Fair.
reread my notes because they're from a month ago.
Do you... So,
Mycelia was very confused, and she did make you repeat that at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Where-
Shake hands with the door. Tell it I'm the best.
She'll absolutely change the password afterwards. You don't have to worry.
Is she okay, though?
She would have
She
to
said something
What's
admit,
wrong?
okay,
I'm so
to be-
confused. She says something perfectly normal.
You have to shake hands with my door, or else you can't open it. It's magically locked.
Just leave it.
Okay.
Don't think too hard.
I'm gonna go with that.
All wizards are like this.
No.
All wizards I've met are like this.
you're the only wizard I met.
I feel honored.
Yeah.
You're a wizard, Ismeenie.
The wizard is showing.
It is coming out in small little ways here and there.
So,
Ego being
I know,
one of them.
I know most of the stuff we're charged with is just bullshit, and they're trying to just pin it. We're the patsies, essentially.
I'm pretty sure we did.
We
grease
did
that guard.
we did steal some things.
Let me go over the charges.
Okay.
I also have them as well as their relevant fines and jail times.
Let me go
here, if you'd
over
like.
the charges.
Why is that?
I can't let you see this. Poker.
It was long.
Number
If I
one.
say please.
Number 1, possession of contraband. That's a me charge. Y'all are all fine. It doesn't apply. Number 2, possession of the Velvet Vulpine. That's a problem. Let's skip it. Number 3, murder of an Eltzian soldier. Number 4, injury to Eltzian soldiers. We kind of did that, but we had reason to. That's what the
Self-defense.
yeah. I'm giving you guys a preview of what the trial is going to be like, right? We endangered the city. Not true. We didn't actually do that. That wasn't us.
Patsy.
Number 6, destruction of a military fortification. Wasn't actually us, but we were there. Number 7, kidnapping royalty. Number 8, endangerment of royalty. Didn't happen, y'all are friends.
We saved royalty,
yeah.
actually.
They were roommates.
They were roommates. Jam came willingly, so we didn't kidnap anybody.
Yeah.
I've never kidnapped anyone.
Number 9, kidnapping of low nobility. And number 10, injury to low nobility. This is specifically in reference to Kiran Shadal, who is a bad man, and we shouldn't actually care about those charges because he's a bad man. Number 11 is harboring a fugitive. We didn't know Yosef was a fugitive, so we kind of got lied to.
We should have figured that out when he was.
One of the
working
injury to
with-
nobility charges was for the other night.
Yeah, that's separate.
Okay.
Also, even if we didn't know that Yosef was a thing, like he's more than compensated in many ways. He's done community
We'll have to
service.
do some jail time.
What
and we will-
You
community
need to
service has he done?
make arguments.
He's
for
turned
what-
over a new leaf. He's done community.
You would
yeah.
know,
He's cleaned your room.
as a general
That's
rule
community
here,
service.
as well as Mycelia, some of the information some of this is knowledge they all have, some of this is knowledge that you have, is that the general structure of this is there's the judge here, one of the high lords here, and your job is to convince her how each of these charges should be handled.
Okay.
You don't need to convince the crown, the princess. You don't need to convince the other high lords who you've offended.
Do we know who has brought all these
Princess
charges to
on our
us?
side.
For example, who pushed?
A lot of these have many
I was a
different
little bit of a
witnesses
jerk,
involved.
though.
Yeah, we're a little.
Like, I'm wondering who is technically suing us. Is it the city of Eltz?
The
for lying
crown,
about
I
her?
think.
We're being the charges are
Okay.
levied by the crown.
This is
Yeah.
messy because there's a bunch of different charges.
Yes.
Okay.
So the goal, you got a bunch of enemies. Knock them down.
Do you want to go through the rest of the list?
You're almost done.
Possession of a stolen artifact, the Martyr's Lament, and
That's not
damage
us.
to a temple of a 9.
We're gonna
That's
have to
not
explain
on
that
us.
one.
That part, no, because here's the thing. It wasn't us that damaged the temple.
That's
How
what
do
I'm
you
saying.
prove that?
Temple
This
is not us.
This is a recap of the entire campaign. The damage to the temple was not us because
Yeah.
it was inside of somebody else's vault. It was not at the temple. It didn't matter if it was in his vault or in our hands because either way, it wasn't where it was supposed to be.
Mhm.
And we took it because we were fighting a necromancer.
Reminder, divine magic is being wonky right now, so there might be some other issues with that.
I'm going to ask you for some help. I'm going to let you know right now. I'm going to need you to maybe make sure that you have thought the night before about what spells you are able to cast that next day. Maybe prepare to cast
something that lets the
Zone of
truth be
Truth.
said?
Yeah.
Something that makes us all inherently truthful.
Yeah.
If we, were willing to be
Perhaps.
truthful.
And I'll need a nice, like, for you guys to kind of tell me, hey, I'm not going to resist this spell telling me to tell the truth. Just let it happen.
please.
Let it wash over you.
I plead the fifth.
Can I?
Kidding.
I don't think they have the fifth here.
They have the
Weirdly, Article 5. No,
It's just
sorry,
different.
Jake has been holding up his hand.
I'm gonna
What
keep
do you
holding
need,
it up.
Jake.
Sorry,
Is
Jake.
trial by combat an option?
Make a history check.
Silas, of all people.
What's
Look,
crap
I'm
like
wanting to
that?
get
The
around
legal
out of
system
this.
is very silent.
It's history?
Mm-hmm.
What would a 16 get me?
16 is one success. You would understand that the answer is not no, but it depends. There are several ways to refute a charge. Some of those include proving you didn't do something. So that, hey, we're the wrong person. Having sufficient justification for the action such that it would override the law in question is one.
Self-defense.
You have the option in certain cases to offer other means of ameliorating the charge. So, for example,
Service.
sometimes people pay money. Sometimes people offer services. And finally, there is the request for judgment in the eyes of the gods. Trial by combat, as you would prefer to call it. And that you would have to be relatively convincing. Normally, it's actually the accusers that would be able to suggest such a thing.
If the gods weren't on our side, then
In our back pocket, we have a secret.
trial by combat is our secret.
No, it's
No, it's the fact that we know what's going
Plan
on with
C.
these whole like people.
Okay,
guys.
we have an idea. We don't know.
we know what's going
But
on.
we know what's
We
going
have
on,
two-
and
we
the
have
public
two
isn't
names.
aware of it.
Do we want to
And
say
it's-
that in the middle of a trial and cause panic?
That's
Yes.
why it's a back secret. Yeah, it's like a back pocket
Incite
thing.
panic, yes.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
They've
So
been
you
doing-
said we were trying to convince her. Who else is at the trial?
So typically, there's going to be typically several of the High Lords would be in attendance for one of these sorts of things.
Maybe your friend will be there.
We fucked up for Branson so bad. He's gonna be so mad at us.
You know that High Lord Branson is one of the petitioners against you.
Oh yeah, no. We stole from him.
We also
He stole
helped us
first,
break-
technically. Granted, Martyr's Lament is our fuck up, but the Velvet Volpine wasn't his.
The Martyr's Lament thing is easy. I needed it to kill an evil necromancer. I needed the sword to slay Zarathal. I did the thing. You can have it back now.
Ask for permission.
Additionally,
Yes,
just as a
also
quick
that.
reminder,
It's in there. Mm-hmm. That's
Judge
what my defense is.
Siege
You're the witness.
Shaper.
She.
I like that
Her name is Judge Siege Shaper.
Siege shaper.
Because
Yeah.
she shapes the sieges.
Sieges.
Siege.
She's a
actually.
dwarven woman. You could call her Maribel in court, see how that goes.
Ah.
Mama Bell.
Baby Bill.
She's not that tall.
No. Are we
Am I in trouble for the troll thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, how are you
I
going to
noticed
explain
it-
greasing a troll?
I had a fit of insanity.
Nor.
So,
That had to come up.
I was
sometime.
under a lot of stress having run away
I don't
from
know if I
home.
want to do
Celia?
that. That's probably worse than jail.
you're,
honestly.
this is all kind of happening in sort of a nebulous sort of time here, because you'll have the opportunity to get to start the trial at the player's whims, essentially. But you head over to the warehouse. It takes you. It's a good portion of one of days. You've got a list of errands the party has sent you on, including contacting various witnesses and go and check in on your temple. But eventually, you do make it down to this warehouse they've discussed. It's a rough sight. There's quite a few guards that have been stationed outside. You can see that it looks like on the first floor, several of the outer walls have been like partially, not the walls outside of the warehouse itself. The warehouse walls proper have been partially removed by some of the guards here who are actively like looking through this place still. There's quite a bit of damage to this building. It's kind of hard to imagine how people are living here at this point. But with your credentials and with the writ you have from the crown, you are able to eventually enter and proceed towards Ismini's room, performing a quick handshake on that door.
Still like really confused and like I'm just trusting that this works.
And there's some strange things in Ismini's workspaces here. You see some of these papers that you're eventually able to gather. A glowing rock that has been just used as like sort of a paperweight. There's a couple of jars with various forms of fleshy things inside of them. It's hard to tell entirely what these sorts of experiments are without making arcana checks.
I'm gonna look at that and just go, Nah, don't want to know.
I dare you to
Prob-
eat one.
It's
probably
Meanies
not
for leather.
There's several mortar and pestles.
Let me pick in the face.
Just better not to know.
Ignorance. Ignorance is the wise choice here. Excellent.
Plausible deniability.
Okay. Would you make those? Is there any other sorts of preparations that you would like to make?
I have a question for our new friend.
So this is again sort of
Yeah.
nebulous time.
Yeah,
You're
later.
back here.
Later, I'm like, I realize that there's going to be people at the trial. You're an elf. Have you seen any other elves that aren't Eltzian here by chance?
Any other
Or-
Summer Sisters?
or any blonde, scary humans that aren't Watchers by chance?
Scary humans.
They have like Ismini energy.
You would realize she's referring to members of the consortium, that magical organization you've been.
No, any of Ismini's.
Any more
family
Calisters are
members
there?
that
the
aren't
Calisters.
consortium.
I misunderstood
Yeah,
what you were
have
referring to.
Have you seen any representatives from the House of Summer?
I will say I've been running around a lot. I have not, but that
But
doesn't
they're
mean they're
hiding.
not here. You all have sent me on many, many errands throughout the city.
Yeah, we're in jail.
We can't really do anything, and we already finished off all the alcohol.
Do I
So
tell when he's
Yes.
now or later?
You have seen that Milton.
okay, we finished all the alcohol.
Milton has been much less stressed since those first few days, where he did on that first night bend the handles to close the liquor cabinet. Feeling bad after the fact, but
Pop the hinges.
Milton is fully just relaxing at this point.
I'm taking a luxurious bath.
Oh, bubbles,
Bubbles.
lavender,
Silas is also taking
milk
a
bath.
I'm about to say milk bath.
A bubble
milk
milk
bath.
bath sounds weird.
But not with rose petals in it, because we're all traumatized.
We're all traumatized by
from
rose petals, but a milk bath.
Do we want
Sure.
to get a note out to the vigilantes before we go too far? Into
How do you?
No.
How could we possibly do that? We
Light a candle and put the note next to it. She
You
doesn't
want-
have to know what it is.
No.
No.
Nope.
The warehouse that's covered in guards.
I want it stated,
Yeah,
by the way,
just
for the
let it know.
canon that Thorn and Eltz did take the hinges off of the cabinet door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fully. At some point when they came to bring out more food, they took the doors away. So there's just it's just a shelf. It's a liquor shelf now.
They can't make shivs out of the wood.
Correct.
There's still more wood.
No
There's
wooden
tables.
shivs are allowed at this
I've been
point.
trying to run a 5K in a room. It's terrible.
Are there any
Use the
people
proper
that you
word.
were trying to meet with before the
Shivs
trial?
for now.
It's okay if not. I just
Shank
wanted
is
to
the
give you all
verb.
these
Yeah.
chances.
Shivs to shank with.
Yeah.
Is there anyone
It's a
y'all wanted to
children's
meet with? Oh.
All Calisters are.
Victoria?
Oh, I was continuing off of the riffing with shivs and
Yeah,
shank.
yeah.
No, I'm asking if you had if yes or no.
We assumed that you had the witness list.
No,
I've got.
Victoria,
I've
that's
got a good list of what's going on.
No, he's asking, is there anybody else we want to talk to? Any other NPCs we want to talk to before?
because you have at least one party waiting, but if you have anyone specific, I'd prefer to do that first.
How's Dawn doing?
Dawn has been he's taken quite a bit of time where he's just in his room. You've caught him just like working out, exercising, just doing like body weight squats.
I like to call on Gerard.
Can I present for the drunken disorderly conduct?
You're good.
Can I do that one?
You can do that one.
No, God.
Do we get? Is that one of our charges?
It's one of
Yes,
my-
it is, unfortunately.
It's my charge.
It might not be your charge.
Hey, I pushed a troll off a cliff.
Excellent.
I'm greased.
Can I call Rickert for that?
Remember, yes, and Rickard is in this area with you. Rickard was
Rickard's
arrested.
been arrested as well.
Yes.
You can be a witness. Though.
Rickard, and you also. I'm here too. Yosef is here as well.
Oh, buddy.
Nobody.
All right. But you are able to call Sir Gerard. He works in the castle.
Yeah. No, I figured it'd be easy to get a hold of him. I just didn't know if he'd come.
It's not the same day when you request versus when he actually arrives, but he is able to at some point get away from his duties. And you see him much simpler, silk shirt, not armored here, but with a very fine sword at his hip. The man himself, human, very tanned, kind of entering in here. You don't notice the same like side eyes from the guards as he enters. Doesn't look like anyone's questioning one of the Crown's guard at this point. I was told I was summoned.
This will be an uncomfortable line of questioning, potentially, depending on how much you remember. But I want to know so that I know what our chances are. How much of the time under the collar do you remember?
There are small windows early on. It made everything blurry, like a dream you couldn't shake. But eventually I think I found some sort of fallibility in the enchantment. And unfortunately, instead of freedom, I found myself a prisoner in my own body, just watching.
So you
I remember the latter period of my imprisonment.
when it comes to some of the false orders, that's when I will need you. If you can speak to them. If you can't, then we won't call on you. But if you can,
I delivered quite a few myself.
thank you. Will you subject?
I understand that my failure at my station will result in loss of title, but it is in service of the crown, to be honest to the judge.
All right. My question was going to be if you'd subject to truth spells. But
We don't have a court priest available for that, but if you can secure it. Oh,
we have an ally.
very well. Of course.
Thank you.
On my honor.
Thank you. That's all I had for him, if anybody else has anything.
As he's stepping out, to a much smaller than Gerard, much smaller man pushes open, and you see dressed in a purple silken shirt, the top view undone, a leather pouch over his shoulder with the top of a corked wine bottle in it. You see, a little tuft of chest hair. A certain High Lord has begun to enter, just holding the door so that Gerard can step out.
Your friend's here.
Your best friend.
I was told that Silas was here.
Silas is here.
I'm
Silas.
I'm glad he brought wine. We already
So often I have to swallow my pride. This is not a moment I thought I would be doing that.
He turns over to the side, and you can see as he's looking past, because he's still kind of standing in that little archway that leads out of the ransomer's wing. He looks over to the side. I won't be too long.
Is there a liquor still in the cabinet next to me?
Oh, the liquor's gone at this
There's
point?
one liquor left.
There's one unit of liquor.
It's like bottom shelf vodka.
Never mind.
It's just the Malort.
Oh God.
Actually, might be a nail polish remover.
Yeah, just acid.
That explains the smell.
It's actually just varnish for
The cabinet.
the liquor cabinet. But as you see this handsome human man, I said smaller just because Gerard is the mountain.
Yes.
He's massive. This is a average, if a little bit muscular human, I suppose. But as he enters, after what we witnessed, I thought it would be appropriate for me to write a few letters. I sent for a few people to speak for you and your friends, but I wanted to see how you were doing.
You didn't have to do that. That was too common.
Oh.
Something I would never ask for.
My duty is to the city and her people. And as far as I remember, you've been staying in the city for a while.
Well,
Please, let's sit. Drink. He pulls out this fine bottle of wine. He looks outside. The sun high in the sky. It's fine. Again, everyone in Dungeons and Dragons has a drinking problem.
right.
But you're here with Walt Behringer, one of the High Lords here.
Walt. What's Branson's first name?
Stanley.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Dumb name for a dumb jerk.
Yeah. Sorry to all the Stanleys out there
city-
watching.
Sorry.
What are you, a tool?
The city has become much more aware of your case in the recent days. It seems that one of your friends over at the Message has been quick with the quill. Christine Cooper has been writing a number of stories about what has happened.
Hopefully all positive.
There seem to be a few different interpretations of the events that have transpired over the past few months.
She's a gifted writer, to say the least.
I don't know quite who she commissioned to draw this for this sketch of a Loxodon atop a dragon, but it has been quite exciting to hear of your tales. The way that Christine has spun them have stirred the maidens into a frenzy.
You know, she wasn't far off. We did have one party member on a dragon.
2 of them.
Sorry,
technically.
Thorn. Sorry, El.
Did Christine say anything cool about me?
You know,
It was him. He killed the dragon too.
A Loxodon on a dragon is just a better story.
Wait, I didn't make the cut.
I'm pretty sure you did. You were cut on the ground, passed out somewhere along the way.
I apologize.
You want to go, Silas?
I've been quite busy, so I've not read all of the papers, but I'm certain Christine has mentioned you as well, Lilier.
Don't encourage her. If anything, save a clipping for us.
At this point, he kind of looks around. Would you mind if I spoke to... He kind of looks around. I'm not quite as familiar. He starts pointing to the other members of the Smiles. I'm not quite as familiar with your companions, and I was hoping we could speak with privacy. And with you being present, of course, if you have better judgment about these individuals, who am I to judge?
We can find a room, if that's okay with y'all.
This is... do you want to include Mycelia?
You're going to be casting Zone of Truth on us. I feel like it only makes sense to include you in what's happening because you're becoming party to our problems.
Rip
Let's-
the band-aid off now.
Yeah. Rip the bandit off. You're part of us now.
By the way,
She went to
have
her
we
house
introduced you
already.
yet?
So she knows.
I do not believe we have had the chance to meet.
No, we have not.
Do you offer him a hand?
I do.
This High Lord takes your hand so delicately, leans over, plants just a gentle kiss upon your hand.
I feel the need to immediately wash it.
It smells like alcohol.
I knew I liked you.
But he is just... It is always a delight to meet one of the priestesses of our city. Rather than taking a room, let us stand close to the entrance. I have it upon good authority that there are less prying ears there.
Okay.
Prying years.
As you kind of move closer to, again, that gold embellished and enchanted door, standing there apart from the other members of the Smiles, from your Uncle Rickert, you have this High Lord here. How confident are you in your defenses?
Not all, but most.
How confident are you in our defenses?
75?
Well, I've come to determine if alternative methods are required to have you vacate the castle, or if you have the confidence in yourself to battle in this new arena.
Our biggest problem comes in the fact that we were in possession of a few things we were not supposed to be. That is where my issue lies. Everything else, easily explained. However, it's the one piece that I don't have the answer to.
We can definitely explain ourselves. I think the problem is how it's going to be perceived, most likely.
If we don't have a just cause, we are
For sympathetic ears.
upper
Right.
river.
But our just cause doesn't necessarily align with the person we're being judged.
You are
Or
being
the city.
judged by Lady Seed Shaper. Justice courses through her veins.
Admirably.
All but the possession of particular items.
You're friends with Stanley. Do you happen to know how he got a hold of the Velvet Wolpine? The journey we had with it did say that it was... Sorry.
No,
No,
I
we
would-
love it.
laughing
Yeah.
at Stanley. His name.
I don't want to call him by his last name. I don't want to show respect.
I was not certain necessarily that the possession of that implement was yours. I didn't. He stops for a moment and thinks. Stanley is a difficult man. He and I have a shared fondness for a bit of for gambling. We were having some fun at the card tables, but his collecting is not something he's as boastful of as someone like Percival. High Lord Prospin, excuse me. Connor's like,
We love Preston.
but, there are rumors that you have other allies in the city. I've heard rumblings that there are individuals running around concealing themselves.
Any friend we have are rather vigilant, to say the least.
Thank you.
Silas,
Silas, stop being so cryptic.
Or that-
Thank you. Thank you, my dear sweet friend.
I don't have a bucket.
You don't have a frocket?
Nope. No frocket. No frocket.
you ain't got no frocket.
I'll hold it for you.
These are so shut.
I have done my best. I've spent no small sum to ensure that those who'd be willing to speak on your behalf will be available to you, though it will be upon you to call and ask whatever is appropriate.
I realize the debt I owe a friend grows more and more each day. I hope at the end of this there's a way I can repay you.
I feel like you have been serving the city, and that is payment enough.
I'm glad at least someone feels that way.
What?
Do you feel that way? Okay.
So what was your option B, just in case?
Don't feel obligated to answer that.
I'm guessing things that go bump in the
I think we're
night.
going to be fine, but contingencies?
Laurentius, make a persuasion check if you'd like to, depending on if you're pushing this issue. You're allowed to. Also, where's our third? Is the third dice tray on the other end of the table?
Yes, that was.
Yes, by
this-
sorry.
Jake has spent his
Spending a bicycle. All right, getting to that advantage.
wasn't meant to be.
That's what meant to be.
Connor.
Save it for the try.
Connor.
11.
I'll spend one.
Come on, this is it. If
Oh,
you
you
get
haven't
below a. Okay.
Okay.
This is exciting.
26.
Trust me, it went from 7 to 26.
It went from 11 to 26.
Okay, screw you.
On the other side of this door, I have brought an accomplice, a fine friend who I believe would be able to abscond with you. And should you need to leave the city, there are very few more talented than him.
Should we consider Ralnor's safety in this moment?
At least it's not the tall
Code
elf
name?
one.
Passphrase?
If you request the service, then I believe it would be more appropriate to name him. But until then, I believe that ignorance is bliss. But don't tell the priestesses of Ogma.
Ignorance is bliss.
He's writing it down.
Password.
Behringer, I'm gonna fight you someday. Feel free to not answer, but I think we've all heard a rumbling or two of something going wrong at a temple. Most recently, a few lights going out.
The
in
torches.
one place.
The ever-burning light of the Morning Lord, and several of the torches have gone out, which is alarming.
I wish I could telepathically talk to people.
Is it possible that's not the only church that's happening to? Before we ended up in this mess, there was a certain fiend that led on that every church might be suffering. I want you to not answer if you don't want to, but
We're
I also
checking
want to
on-
make sure,
Yeah, we're checking in on the health of your.
and hopefully all churches.
There has
Your-
been no change at the Temple of Shar.
I'm
I
go-
heard that die hit the table.
Oh, spinning! I was just playing with my
Okay.
bicycle.
Or he's lying.
But
Or
there
is
would
that-
be but that is all I can say on the matter.
Though I've never followed Char, I'm happy to hear the safety and security of your temple.
So, out of character, should we mention the cultists?
I'm not going to mention the fact that Squawk plays with a pendant of a priest.
No, should we mention the cultists in the Undercroft stuff?
If
too?
only we mentioned their
I think
colors.
we should
I don't
wait.
think we need to add that.
I think
Okay.
we should wait till we're in safer.
Yeah.
Safer zones. of
Fair
truth.
Reminder, you won't be in a safer place until after the trial.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Kind of fair.
Okay.
We're fine, though.
No, we've
Also, out of
burdened this
character,
poor man
like,
enough.
I
feel
don't
bad.
Are
want
you
a super-
sending Walt away?
Contingency.
After all
I
this
forgot
is
his
done,
name was Walt.
I hope we can get it back together.
Well, Behringer. I would just like to say to Walt.
Wait, why are you writing something down?
I would like to put my hand
Why is
on
it in the
his. I would like to put my hand on his arm, like you know, like a noble lady grasping the cloak of a
Appropriate. Delicate.
appropriate, delicate grasp of cloak.
Not immodest.
I don't
Not
think
immodest,
he's looking like
but beseeching. Somebody of a higher station than myself. We want to solve the problems here. All of us do. And I can't help people if I stay here. And I can't help people if I don't know what's going on in this city. I trust you understand both of those sentences.
loaded as fuck.
I'm trying to make sure I understood the second part. Because I'm not Walt.
It's okay, I'm planning on worshiping Shar later in the campaign.
I'm trying to get you that in. I don't like that.
Nobody likes my book.
I don't like your book.
I don't like your book.
It's really pretty.
I will not be happy.
It's
with
very
the
pretty.
thing.
I do
Actually,
not like
I've
it.
never seen
Char
the details on
turning
the
away from the
cover.
sun.
Yeah.
Actually,
it's
that's-
simple in the back
And
really
crazy
complicated
on the front.
Right?
And I don't know why.
It looks like a
I
really
love
cool
it.
door.
Beautifully French, I feel like.
It looks like a door.
Mm-hmm.
Barnes and Noble.
it's from the noble house of Barnes.
Barnes.
Okay, that's our next campaign, the Noble House of Barnes.
I'm already playing.
House of Barnes.
House of Barnes.
Old McDonald,
Thank
have
you.
a Barnes.
Oh.
EIEI, no.
With that, you watch as Walt politely excuses himself.
He gets a shot of that shitty liquor that's left over first.
That is definitely acetone. You're not supposed to drink that.
Oh, this is
Do you see
one
the
of the worst things I've ever had.
Do you see the squalor they put us in?
Did you know there are places where they ferment Goliath sweat?
Why?
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's this test of strength, essentially. This tastes. It's actually wildly close.
Where is this place?
Oh,
I
my
wonder if that's
uncle.
what
My
strength-
uncle went there once. He told me about it.
I want
He
to.
said I had to wait till I was 35 to go there.
Where is it?
I'm like, I don't know. He won't tell me.
I'm
Well,
35.
to respect your family, I suppose that
No,
mum is the word then.
No.
Oh, actually,
My mom is.
he like leans in close to let you know where this booze was.
I have elephant.
Connor, I
ears.
guess I can write it for you so that Chloe doesn't know.
Stop. Elephant
Wrote
ears.
myself
Give it to
into a
me.
corner. You don't have elf ears.
Elephant.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you know where that is.
Nice.
You've been in this world.
They're gonna send me back home.
He
I'm
steps
gonna get in
out,
trouble.
nods over to the side, and you hear him. The last thing you hear him say is, "All right, come on then, friend." And the doors close behind him.
This is an odd ask. When the doors opened, did anything smell familiar?
This is a very hard check.
I am fine with a very hard check.
I will let you know this. I know what I'll do. I'm making a tool check here.
It smell.
I know you'll have advantage versus this DC. I see 21.
Did you roll in that one?
And that one and a 3.
That adds up to 4?
That's not how we roll those dice.
Okay, but look. It was not close at all. Who the fuck am I kidding?
As you sniff out, you catch that Walt doesn't smell gross. He smells perfumed and pleasant.
He smells like acetone.
That's all I smell.
I'm getting freshman year of college
Walt
vibes.
heads on out. And you are left once again alone with all of your friends. Yosef's in the back like, oh, they brought cupcakes.
Alone
As soon as he
again,
leaves,
naturally.
mine does take out a hanky, starts just like rubbing at her hand, being like,
Are you a germaphobe or you just don't like him?
he's
He's kind of a creep.
yeah.
good way.
Thank you.
He's your type.
Am I the only one that thinks he's a nice
No,
guy?
he's a nice guy.
Worship Shar.
High five, Shaw friend.
Shar.
It's our friend.
Who kisses hands?
No, somebody. Okay,
He's a
no,
gentleman.
right?
He's a
I
rich
know.
married.
somebody
married, like-
has to maintain the Temple of Shar. Things must be kept in balance inside of Eltz. Somebody has to maintain the temple.
I'm not
It's
talking
not
about-
his fault that his family is the one who's in charge of it.
Miss
Whoa.
Beanie. There's
He's
no
born-
balance when there's literally mist covering the moon.
How are
There has to be
you
balance.
doing that?
I'm not talking
What did you
about
do?
his religious beliefs. I'm talking about it's weird that he kisses people's hands.
No, that is
It's a noble
courtesy.
gesture.
Yeah, but
It's a noble
I've-
gesture.
I'm with you.
I'm with
Listen.
I
you.
hate balls. I hate doing like the kiss hand thing.
You also grease
Courtesy.
and fucking
Moment of insanity. Prove otherwise.
Look, our entire plea is gonna be this was the first time she's ever left her house. She didn't know what an ogre
You got
was.
scared. I'm
She
gonna
had
push you
never
under the
seen
shirt
one
for that
before.
The trial quickly approaches. Does anyone have any final things
No, I'm ready.
before we jump ahead? Out of the town time and into the encounter. Jake?
Can I start writing a last will and testament unironically?
Yes.
I'm gonna be sent home.
Where'd my dog go? Oh, there she is. She's under your feet, Lola, by the way.
I know.
I don't know who
We've been
to
having
give this
fun.
to, but I'm just gonna leave it on the table.
I'm ready.
You want to leave it with Rickert?
Yeah, I trust Rickert.
You should.
I mean, half of it goes to any monetary.
I
things.
won't tell the boy.
I won't tell anyone then.
I'll take it, but I won't need it. Tucks it away.
You might. We'll see.
You don't trust me?
I don't trust that we're in a position where we have fighting odds.
We've had a good streak of luck. Also, Ismini's really good at this.
If
not
we had
luck.
a good streak of luck, we would not be in this situation.
Yeah,
It's not
faith and trust
And Pixie
in
dust.
one person. Yes,
No.
and freaking pixie dust.
don't
Not
need to use that again.
not on a furnace this time.
I'm
Though.
out.
Okay.
I get more
Good.
Joseph for that.
Okay, I think we're good. Let's go. March to our doom.
It is just before midday when you are summoned.
Oh, one more question. My apologies.
With your just
How many times can you cast Zone of Truth in a day? 5. Great.
Bitch.
quick thing. You might be able to affect more than one person with that because of how the time works on it. But note there is downtime in it.
What is the zone actually? Is it?
The 15-foot radius, all in. Or
There's a
make sure
stand.
that-
Yeah.
Do a stand.
Is it a ritual spell?
No.
No.
No,
I was just
regrettably.
curious.
Be
Regrettably.
really,
It'd be
really
so
good if it was.
That's what I mean.
I will say, I think that we'll talk about it more on footnotes. I think that might be that spell would be one of the most banned spells if it was a ritual.
Yes.
That's fair.
100%. It fixes so many
It
problems.
warps roleplay.
Yeah.
60 feet.
I'm really excited to put every person at this table under Zone of Truth,
10 minutes.
including myself.
But it'll be characters, not us.
I'm an open book.
Oh, yeah.
Read me.
Thor can't read. He can.
He can.
He can read.
No one
And
read
third
Mr.
grade
Book.
level.
Taught him how to read.
It is
I sound them out still.
before midday
It's actually kind of nice.
that the time comes. There is quite a procession as the golden doors to the ransomer's wing open, and you are summoned. You see a lining both sides of the hallway outside of your wing are a large number of soldiers, and at the far end, you see a familiar face flanked by 2 of the Crown's Guard. Princess Josephine has come to bring you to your trial. She's there in this sort of like muted gray, long, poofy dress, And as she walks closer to you, I've been praying that you are well prepared for today.
I think it worked.
It worked.
It did not work.
We apologize for the emptiness of the liquor cabinet.
I had them bring that in there. I hope it was pleasant. I know. I tried to have the accommodations improved, but there was only I only have so much sway with Father.
There was a lot of crying.
You did a wonderful job.
Thanks.
I'm gonna give a little bow.
You hear, like you can not hear, but you can see one of the Crown Connectors is like visibly uncomfortable with the kind of conversation that's happening here.
Same.
Brunch with Judge Siege Shaper was delightful. She seemed in quite a pleasant mood.
Doesn't bode
A
well.
belly filled with mushroom stew and small pastries is a belly ready to listen. Well, that's not quite right. I think you understood my intention, however.
Thank you.
I think we're
Well then,
As the one who speaks for the party, I am ready. I was nominated last time we had a session.
We did nominate it.
guards, I request that the Defiant Smiles be released into my custody as I escort them to the throne room for their trial. Follow me then. She turns, and as she does, you see that walking behind her, the sort of the thread work for that actually, what is the word I'm missing here? The tying the back of a dress.
Woven Street?
The corset?
Yeah, but you see that along
laces,
it,
the ribbons?
the laces. Thank you. That's the word. But you look as across the spine there are sigils of each of the 9. Just this. It's a very finely made attire here. But as you're marching through these halls, just before you are the holy symbols of the 9 eldest gods of your world. Eventually, brought up further into the castle, you arrive once more to the grand throne room, extending up through multiple levels. You can see there are viewing chambers here, considerably more full than when you came here previously. On the far side of the room, further in, you can see seated at the throne the princess's father. Closer, much now, than when you last saw him. King William Mudrust. You can see that he's leaned over to the side, is listening to some You can see that like, appears to be a human who's just kind of whispering in his ear, just contemplating. Responds back and then is dismissed. Looking further around the room, you see that incredibly high sort of podium that has been set up, and not yet present is Judge Siege Shaper. There's this.
Didn't anticipate our first audience with the king to be a frickin' jail hearing. Am I wrong?
Trial.
I'm ready for this. You just have to trust me.
I'm not sober for this.
Silas?
Trust me.
You just have to trust me.
In the center of the room, before the judge's stand, is a circular lift, a small platform. It's only about it's like a step of a stair higher. However, you can see that where the stained glass, the stained glass of the upper arches of the room, pinnacles of light are just kind of beaming down onto this location. A spotlight formed through engineering and probably a bit of magical shenanigans. The murmuring of the crowd as you're entering here. And Josephine stops by a series of seats, slightly boxed off with hip-high wooden, sort of kind of like a wooden fence off area. It is here you shall wait, though you are able to call and also request others to join you. It would be...
I'm not sure I understand.
No!
That's how Thorn's feeling right now.
Not sure I understand.
I would not recommend having more than 3 present on the platform at any time.
Don't worry about it. We've got this.
Thank you, Princess Josephine.
Jam.
Jam.
Jamaphine.
You do see that same one of the Crown's guard is just looking at you like, what are you saying? Fortune will smile upon us. Be safe. And with that, she walks through the center. You just hear the clacking of shoes against the stonework. She proceeds up, a deep curtsy before her father, before she is seated at a smaller throne on the level 1 down from where her father now sits.
She'll really hate when I call her as a witness.
I would like to immediately start pouring the audience.
Sure. What are you
so certain?
investigating for?
I'm looking for representatives of the House of Summer. I'm trying to figure out who they sent.
Sure. Make me an investigation
So I'm
check.
looking for a summer elf or a Callister.
Sure. If you're looking, well,
You
looking
have
for,
one. You have one.
You don't have to use it.
You don't have to use it.
Watch her roll a natural
Alex
one.
said to do it.
I heard Alex
It's
say
gonna be a
that.
natural one. It's gonna be a natural one.
Would you
Is
think
it really?
No, but it's not good. It's Jake's fault.
I said
Give me
one.
your bicycle.
I
I know you have 2, Jake.
hey, I have one left.
Pride Month is over, man.
Oh
No.
no.
month is never over.
That's going to be an 11.
applies to him too.
I'm sorry, investigation. It's going to be an 8.
Yeah.
Glancing around, you actually don't see a large number of elves at first until you come upon on one of the lower on the lower level here, so same level as you. You do see a small collection of wood elves. You actually see several familiar faces, many of which have nodded over towards Mycelia. Some have beckoned if they want you to come sit with them, but you absolutely don't have to. That's your decision. There's an odd. What I can give you, though, you don't see representatives from your kingdom, from your House of Summer. Among the wood elves is one strange figure. Short, likely propped up in some way for him to still be able to look over. Green skin, large eyes resting atop his head, puffed blue shirt, and a shining breastplate. You see Foland, Knight of the Primrose.
I was actually gonna ask if he's coming because he is our best
wait.
defensive character.
Among the material, is Lucas there?
Lucas is absolutely here.
I'm going to immediately start making weird gestures.
Elfie hand signs.
I didn't remember where
One
I
of the
am.
guards says no gang signs. No, we're absolutely.
I am.
Something
Oh my
against
god.
our elven traditions?
I am the last one to make an
The
arcana.
guard just looks the other direction.
I'm the
During
last one to
Elven
make this kind of
Pride
check. Is there any? Oh my god.
Elven Pride Month. It's Elf History Month.
Welcome
Elves are nothing but pride.
to
Give
July.
it to the dwarves.
Stream month.
And that's gonna end that one. Like you were saying.
Okay, I'm the last person to ask for this. Is there any kind of magic, wards, charms, X, Y, and Z that I might be able to detect walking in?
Oh yeah, I'm super curious about that.
Do not
Yeah.
have the ability to detect magic.
May I
But does
attempt
someone-
to feel the atmosphere of magic around me? May I
You know,
attempt to,
tip
like,
into the
nibble?
weaves.
What are the material
components?
components of detect magic? Or what are the components of detect
You
magic?
sense methane.
Do you smell magic?
Thorn farted.
On the,
Nervous,
Verbal, verbal
It's
and
not nervous.
somatic.
would you like to cast a verbal spell?
Absolutely not.
Fair.
Great.
Absolutely not.
I'll be your guys' spellcaster.
By the time
Hey, we do know.
I can get away with it.
with you,
We do know that there's not an anti-magic field though, because I would be
Correct.
on the ground. So
Yeah.
it's true.
You'd be dead.
I would be dead.
You, after you've all been seated and you're kind of looking around here, you're able to talk. You're far enough away from
body
people that
count.
you're able to relatively easily whisper to one another to make some decisions. There is a small table at the front of your box that you're sitting at. You do see some guards that are bringing in what looks to be 3 of these. I'm gonna call them crates, not chests. And you do see some familiar items within them as it is brought and placed. I think if you think of the areas as kind of a square, you're on one side, King's on the opposite, Judge is on one side. These chests with all of your equipment are placed down on another. At this point, there is a guard who comes up to you. My name is Filbert, and I have been assigned to assist you. Should you require any evidence from your, from either the ransomer's wing or from your previous effects, I am how you will requisition this. You have any questions about courtroom procedure? It is one of my duties here to assist you in any way that is possible.
He seems to be not happy with us existing.
You get the sense. Make an insight check. Make an insight check. What are we doing? We get dice rolls here. Jake, you're next.
13.
13. Someone might have drawn the short straw.
He's going to be kissing my boot by the end of this.
Jesus.
I
And his
love
name is, in
sneaky
fact,
energy.
Filbert.
Filbert
Oh,
kissed
that
my
poor
boot.
man.
Filbert.
Jake, get a question?
There it is.
I'm giving her her sign.
And your professional and honorable, I said what I said, position.
What is your question?
What is the best way to not insult the court?
It would be appropriate to refer to her as emissary or her honor.
Thank you. Please remember that.
Can I please have Mr. Book? I have
I
no
will-
writing utensils on me.
Yes, I will go and obtain the journal.
If you aren't able to obtain it, you may burn it.
You watch as he kind of is
That
pushing things
journal.
over. You guys hear a distinct glass cracking sound as some of the stuff's mover. Pulls out Mr. Book from this pile. These are the notes you're looking for.
Yes.
We would like to submit the.
This book contains a contingency plan to save your life, Silas, so you will not burn it.
Did it work for Gwynwyn?
It's not for that.
I have to know, did Silas actually make that sort of joke here?
Oh, he
What
didn't
a
make it a joke. He
joke.
said it with a straight face.
Mm-hmm.
Jake can't say it with a straight face.
Okay.
I don't blame you guys. I do want to say that.
This-
She's dead, though.
This is for if we meet a false whatever.
Do I know what a false Hydra is?
I
Make
do.
a history check.
I hope I roll a 1. Can I roll a D6 just to see?
It's a fake Hydra.
What does 7 get me?
You got it, Thorn.
You've heard of a Hydra. They're like some kind of lizard with multiple heads.
Why?
And it's a fake one.
Yeah.
It's a statue.
Yeah.
It's a statue.
Well, I don't know why she's afraid of him.
Right.
It's a phobia.
Or no.
Don't mock things you don't understand.
It's called generational trauma.
I feel like he's mocked you this whole time.
Thorn's nice about it.
We're fucked.
It is at this point, the murmuring, having been slowly crescendoing as we've been here in the room, becomes quiet as doors open wide. You see the king lean forward on his throne as a dwarven woman begins entering the room. You see dozens and dozens of people stand as the high judge here in the city, as Siege Shaper. Ooh, I made that a tongue twister. Begins to enter. You see she wears this long silvered robe. Underneath, you can see what looks to be it looks to be a relatively simple black tunic. But as she is walking past, she does not turn her head to look upon you. Instead, she walks to the center of the room, onto the pedestal facing towards the king, and kneels. With permission, I request once again to preside here and judge those who have committed transgressions or those who have done no wrong within your city. The king nods, and she stands once more, walking towards the tall, again, probably about 10, 11 feet tall, is where the top of her actual, where the judge will be sitting, this tall pedestal is, walks towards the rear of it, and the stonework begins to lift up, bringing her to a position where she can stand, hands placed firmly over a small lip
Same.
on the front of the pedestal. Oh, you guys can't see my hands when I do this. I do this all the time.
We can
Holding
see it.
on. Yeah, you guys can see it. Holding on the
We need
front.
you at hand cam.
All right. As she begins to speak, you watch as she pulls what looks to be a small, spool of like wool. It's not thin thread. It's visible even from about 25 feet away where you are. Begins pulling the small piece. Takes a small set of little tiny shears, clips a piece of thread, and wraps it around her neck. It's plain, like a white woolen-looking material. And as she speaks again, her voice booms through. All right. Lady Callister, the House of Summer, nobility of Issel, please come to the pedestal. On this day of the 9 of the kingdom of Eltz, and under the eyes of William, you'll represent your friends, these allies. You claim them as your own?
I will.
You done this before?
I have not.
You've one person to convince today. It's I. Not the king. Not the masses who've come here to watch whatever show you'll be putting on. Me. I'm not an easy woman to fool. Got all the tools of the trade that you need. You've had time to gather your witnesses. I hear you've had a few people helping you bring to watch this event tonight. Maybe we'll be hearing a bit from them. Got the charges here, listed before me. You should have them written up as well. Your attendant will be able to provide them should you need a reference. We've had a request for some of these charges, as indicated, to be heard last. Specifically, those from High Lord Branson. But, as you're accused, what would you like to start with?
Shall we start with possession of contraband?
Aye, the consortium matter. Bring out the fiends. And you see, coming from a smaller door, a number of these guards are bringing out in these large glass cubes. There's metal reinforcements on them. You see 3 corpses of these strange blue-skinned demons. These are the creatures that you fought quite a while back in Terilla, in the Bulwark. As they're being brought into the room, passing by some of these people, you hear gasps from some of the men and women in the audience. You hear a loud this ribbit ring out as Foland sees these creatures. And these 3 are placed near the platform. All right. You'll be speaking. Would you like to call up any of your others?
This one shall be easy, since they were in my possession and the charges against myself.
Aye, as your name is on the title of the warehouse, I think it's appropriate to handle this as purely your matter. See no reason to bring the Smiles and the rest of the guild into it.
I would like to point out to the court that I am not an Eltzian citizen. I merely have land, have a small building inside of the great nation of Eltz. And being someone who is not an Eltzian citizen, I'm not held to the same rules as an Eltzian citizen, be it the agreement you have with the consortium. As an Issel noble, I'm allowed to possess items that are not necessarily allowed in Eltz. Had I known that these items were outlawed in Eltz, I would have considered not bringing them back into the city proper. However, since we were waylaid outside of the city by them, I wanted to know more about what we were having to face and fight.
It would seem the Watcher forgot to indicate who exactly was being charged with this. You were not made aware via writ?
I have not been made aware of anything until this charge was brought forward.
I'll have this information verified. Now, I do have to ask, what in the name of the plains were you doing with a collection of corporeal fiends?
After working to save the West End from the...
What's this of saving the West End?
So, in the woods, there was an issue with a Fey defender named Scobrin, who was taking people from the woods, taking people and hiding them inside of the Feywild. My goal in taking these creatures was they were able to control this powerful Fey beast who was working as a protector of the wood. And since they were able to do something to corrupt him, I wanted to know what their corrupting power was so I could prevent it from happening in the future. If you'd like to contest that belief, I do have a friend here who can cast truth-telling magics.
I'm curious about this Scobrin. I've heard a bit about what happened over in the West End, but I'm not entirely sure that your telling of it is the truth. Do you have any others there who witnessed either these demons or this Scobrin?
I would be able to call... Ooh, who were their names?
There was a captain.
Captain is here.
Foland is here. Foland was there at the
I
fight.
heard Captain and I heard Foland.
Foland was there as well as the two captains from the West End.
If Foland is respected, remember a captain holds more might in a Eltzian court.
Right. I will call on Foland first to speak to what he saw during the fight.
Oh, you mean me?
Yes.
All right. Well, ask good questions. He'll tell his piece. You see, hopping up towards the pedestal from the stands is Foland. He is this bullywug knight from the Feywild, standing about 4 feet tall, fine armor, puffed shirt. You can see that on one of his hips he wears. It's hard to tell at first its utility. On first glance, it's hard to tell what it's for. But there are a collection of these rings, these soft sort of rings, some sort of bendable material, covered in flowers and vines and moss. They're very bright, pinks and oranges, and like there's a lot of lilacs in there, and they're just on his hip.
Hello again, Miss Callister.
Hello, Foland. I'd like to ask you a few questions about what happened in the woods.
Oh, well, certainly. How can I be of help?
My first question is, were you there in the fight with these 3 extraplanar entities?
Oh, the little blue buggers. Well, I remember that we were going through and there was all sorts of problems with the animals, and I was trying to find my friend. My friend's a frog, you see, and, well...
He wasn't there.
Well, I do remember
Mind control, though.
we saw this strange goblin man, and he had all sorts of weird magic upon him. It made him loopy, and he was messing with all of he was messing with my frog friend and the other critters of the forest too. And there was something wrong with him. You showed them when you hit him. You showed the magic that came out of him. Now I don't know about any blue creatures and these little things here, but I did hear a bit about it from Scobrin, and well, you saved him. He came back to the Feywild with me.
Can you tell
It's
me?
not easy getting back.
Can you tell me more specifically what Scobrin told you?
Well, all right. Well, Scobrin had been gone for a while. He had come to the material. He told us all, the other Fey creatures, that there was a problem and that the Tayrillans needed his help. But he was gone for so long that I went looking for him. And, well, after after I met you, well, you helped me find my froggy friend, and, well, I didn't have Scobrin that day. When I saw him after, he told me that you had fought some creatures that were controlling him with little rocks.
Thank you, Foland. Please remind me, this is just a failure of my note-taking. There was a man that we met there, and then while we were heading to the Red Rock Monastery, he was a member of one of the guilds that had the yellow-fletched arrows, one of the Hunters Guilds. I don't recall his name. I'm looking for it in my notes, but I wanted to call him up to the witness stand as well.
Sure.
He was fine.
Well, while the players are determining that, you also have access to Captain Krennic. And as Krennic is brought to the stand, you ask for his telling of the events.
I know that guy was there, though, when the blue guy attacked.
Right. And well, this is also setting some groundwork here.
Yeah.
Krennic is happy to talk. He begins telling the story. Yeah, he begins telling the story about how initially he was distrustful of these people who had come by, assumed they were nothing but common mercs. But to be honest, I was routed. I led my men into a battle that we could not handle. Due to the tactics that I had upheld, I very nearly lost several of my best men. I had come to save the people, and
Tannis?
without the Defiant Smiles,
Does that sound familiar?
without the Defiant Smiles, I would be dead. And, well, this Scobrin, who we had thought a simple beast, I have since learned quite a bit how the Tyrillans consider it to be some sort of protector. And had they not slain these blue creatures, I'm sure that, well, the military would have been able to take down Scobrin, and maybe even these, there would have been a great loss to the people of this city.
She's gone. Right?
Sure. You're all getting to go in here and interact.
When we had found you, you were wounded, specifically by an animal of the forest, something that I would personally consider normally tame.
A stag.
How was its actions before that moment?
I had not seen a creature so possessed since I made my way to a rough and tumble inns in my youth.
Since the death of those blue creatures, have you heard of any possessions like that?
No, though my duties are elsewhere and I monitor the East End, I have written a number of letters to Sten, who has ensured that increased patrols in the region, but we've not heard any reports of bestial attacks along the western roads.
As a servant of Eltz, if you had seen that, would you say it's possible to draw the conclusion that those blue creatures were indicative of the problem, if not a cause of it?
Yes, the reports we took after the fact from the Tyrillans we spoke with indicated that you had brought in those creatures, and well, it was a very clear transition once they had been slain that the matter ceased. Not only in that particular portion of the road, but for several miles through the forest we had seen these reports. They all ceased.
Sir, please, if you do not feel comfortable answering this, do not, but you personally, if you had been able to draw the conclusion that these creatures were the cause, would you yourself be curious about studying them, learning more so that you might further protect your forest, protect your city?
I don't know much about these creatures. I would have happily put them to the spear, but study them, maybe if I had those sort of credentials. Typically, if we have these sort of monstrous incursions, we take them to the consortium. They're the best mages I know of.
Well, I admit we might have taken them to the wrong place. Could you at least consider that our actions and our intentions were fair?
I'd remind you, you're trying to convince me. This one wanting to do, agreeing with a crime wouldn't be necessarily a resolution.
I merely trust a man of his honor, and I would like to hear his opinion on my own crimes.
All right. Krennic stops, thinks for a moment. I almost lost not just a platoon of my men. I lost an incredible... for a while, I had assumed that I had not only lost my platoon, I had lost a dear friend, and I had lost my trusty mount. All of these were returned to me. If my men, or those who issued the summon for the Great Hunt, had we known more about the magics in the Bulwark, well, perhaps we could have done more. Study, it was exactly the sort of thing that could have avoided this.
May I enter into the court that my family lineage, before me and continuing through me, is dedicated to the study of creatures from beyond these realms, specifically fiends.
Aye, the consortium has written quite a bit about these Callisters. There's been some claims that your bloodline has taken a few of their tricks. I can't help but notice the commonality between your choice and hairstyle.
I don't think I need to explain more beyond my physical looks what may have been taken.
Well, your squabble with the consortium's not exactly at issue here in terms of bloodline. I'm more concerned about why you brought these things in here. I noticed here in the notes that you had placed Looks like powdered silver, salt. There seems to have been quite a few of these Galandrian crystals. Could you explain why exactly these were arranged around these creatures?
Binding and sealing fiend energies into orbs is this particular specialty of my house. They can no longer do harm to anybody on their plane or another. If you bind them, they have nowhere to go but inside of the orb.
May I ask you a question?
Please.
Is it not common for fiends, once they perish, devils, demons, I honestly don't know the difference. It's above my intelligence, but I do know that it's not uncommon for them to disappear from this plane once slayed. Is this not an oddity? Is it not something to be concerned about?
This is generally something that happens where a fiend will return to their plane of origination to basically join back in the fight again amongst devils and demons.
Geshir. You see as kind of stepping up from one of the booths here, a yellow-skinned individual. Rather than a nose, there's this small craterous cavern in the center of their face. Large, like brown splotches.
Gith?
This is a gith. Long pointed ears, but not quite elven. Long draping sort of robes. Kind of steps close. You have confirmed this? Fiends are supposed to disappear? The Gith nods solemnly. I would like a persuasion check from both Silas and Ismini. Additionally, I'm gonna give advantage on one of your rolls from the testimony here. You choose who takes it. Jake, do you want it?
I already rolled.
I think. Oh,
I've already rolled. Go ahead.
You said advantage?
Mm-hmm.
If I can find that. 21.
17.
All right. Looks like this matter is more a simple case of awareness of the rules here. Considering the circumstances and the importance of the Isil alliance, I'm not terribly concerned about you having things. You got the measures put in place, and this isn't exactly a miscarriage of justice for a practicing mage to study. It's quite uncommon these days for mages to take such precautions. All right, setting this aside, you won't be seeing chains or the inside of a dungeon for this sort of thing, though we'll discuss any sorts of fees after the fact. Where would you like to proceed to next?
I would like to discuss a few of the charges in tandem. I know this may be unorthodox, but
No, it's
I
quite
have
linked.
evidence that would suggest that perhaps something beyond us was happening. I would like to discuss the charge of murder of Eltzian soldiers, 11 counts. Injury to Eltzian soldiers, 28 counts. 1 count of endangering the city.
So we're jumping into the heart of the matter. I don't envy your position. It's not exactly an easily defensible position. Why don't you begin telling me, or if one of your friends tell me exactly why men are dead on this day? Crown's been spending quite a bit of coin rounding up whatever diamonds they can to bring back some of those men. We've learned a bit more. There's quite a bit of witnesses to your bit of flaming warfare happening in the West End.
I would like to submit into evidence false orders to Eltzian soldiers recovered from where we found Mr. Bugarda, I would assume, a notorious criminal who had under his employ someone very good at forgery.
All right. Attendant, I believe we'll be needing Mr. Bugarda here in the next couple of minutes.
I cannot hear you, Jake.
You can't whisper.
I'm going to send her a note.
All right, well, let's hear it.
This being the heart of the matter, do you think that the zone of truth is
Oh, it will be employed.
appropriate? Okay.
It will be employed. I'm going to see what Jake is trying to tell me. No, you weren't there.
I haven't.
Yeah, you weren't there.
You literally were not there.
This is the
I
one you
know,
can't
but I
help with,
haven't.
Jake.
No, You were not. You literally were not there.
That's kind of fair.
Kind of.
All right.
You weren't there.
Recently, there were orders issued to a platoon under the order of. Let me confirm. Yes, Sir Farafel, who will be testifying against his personal request here. We'll have Farafel ready himself. It appears that after Farafel received his orders to return to the city, he came down with explicit orders to remove you for what you had done. You've brought these orders to me. What evidence do you have that these orders, whether well-intentioned or not, are false?
I would like to bring to the stand Crown's Guard Gerard.
You hear mumbling begin as you're calling a Crown's Guard.
Big gun.
She stands and turns to address the king. King Mudrust, with permission, we'd like to take one of your Crown's Guard from your pockets. We won't take him long. Another nod from the king. It's not long before coming from that major gates. You see, fully clad in polished, gilded armor, this mountain of a man. You can see that he has a halberd he's got on his bent over one of his shoulders. He's holding in his hand as he steps up, places it on the ground, kneels deeply before the king, and steps onto the pedestal beside you. Probably about 10, 15 feet wide, the stone circle that you have here. You're able to walk around him. If you want chairs, you can, but you've been standing for this so far. I am here to offer the truth, and nothing else.
My first question for you. How long had you been held under the collar of Mr. Bugarda, the magical implement that controls another?
It's a bit fuzzy, but something had seemed odd about a couple of the reports I had heard in the West End, and one of my duties as a member of the Crown's Guard was to investigate anything I thought could be a threat to the city, as long as I'm not in personal attendance to a member of the royal line. As such, I made my way to the West End, and it was quick. I had hoped to speak with Sten, the captain of the West End Guard, to ask about a few strange orders that had come out of his office. When I was set upon by a vile man, pocked skin, pale, I believe he was elven, some form of elfkin, clad in black, had the unmistakable marks of an assassin. And much to my shame, I was unable to defeat him in single combat. His ambush was successful. Once I was collared, I lost some time, making it hard for me to know exactly how long, but over a week I spent bound, compelled to do whatever it is that this assassin, Rio, or Bugarda, had told me to do.
Were you aware of orders coming down from a source it was not Sten?
Aye. Bugarda used me like a personal bodyguard. That is, when he wasn't having me deliver these instructions myself. I gave Farafel the orders, but I watched as that assassin penned them. And I'll take whatever judgment, he looks up towards the dwarf, take whatever judgment she offers. It was my duty to not succumb, and I failed.
Were you aware of orders one night before you were freed to set parts of the West End on fire due to non-payment of, I'm going to say debts, but I think we both agree they were already paid?
Not orders, though I know what you're discussing. Bugarda sent his own men There was a requisition order for a collection of military uniforms. We gathered up a collection of basic kit, and he goes through and starts outlining what specifically is in the soldier kit. I was in no position to correct him that soldiers would not be present in the West End, and instead a guard kit would be appropriate. Though he sent orders, it wasn't through the same paperwork. This instead was done by his own men that he brought in.
I'd like to get a vibe for what the judge is reacting to.
Make an insight check here.
Oh, never mind.
You've been only calling people who are very positive towards you.
8.
8 stone. Rock and stone.
Is Mr. Bugarda in the audience?
Mr. Gritter's not. He's a prisoner held here for other crimes, but you can call him. The moment
I would like to call Mr.
Was the
Bugarda.
assassin's body found? Because it should have been in there. As
Yeah, was the assassin's body found as part of this investigation?
It exploded.
You're referring to the contents of that pool over in Bamberg's.
Dude.
Yeah, the pool of acid.
We have some notes here from one of our one of the apothecaries. What was able to be recovered seemed to have been mostly little more than, well, pulpy mess. Whatever concoction he put himself in, eventually it did its job. Quite a bit. We've got some bones. We've got, well, he's not much to look at.
Okay. I would like to call Rickert Thorne to the witness stand.
So you previously asked for for Bugarda. You want
Bugarda's going
Rickert?
to take some time.
Okay.
I'd like to call Rickert in the interim.
Rickert, kind of surprised. You see, Filbert makes Rickert stand up and like kind of
Pat him on the shoulder, be like, you got this.
He like freezes up and you watch as
tell the
Filbert
truth.
pushes the back of the shoulder of Rickert.
Just tell the truth.
It's a little too hard. He stands up. He's wearing his nicest attire, which isn't great. You give him a little thumbs up. He looks back. Yeah, I'll be honest. How can I help?
I'd like for you to share with the court what you told us that caused us to leave the warehouse that evening to go in search of Bugarda's men.
I had a debt. I have a small shop, and well, my nephew would help me pay off my debt, but this Mr. Bugarda had apparently disagreed with the status of my payments and sent some men who were very clear that I was to pay up or they were going to take my shop, leave nothing but cinders. And it wasn't just me. Saw Starrin, Flanders, and goes on begins listing off a collection of these neighbors. There's a whole mess of them who'd come by, and he kind of like looks down. He doesn't have his hat to cover his eyes here. I said they came by and asked, but well, they did a lot more kicking than talking. For that boy and the rest of y'all, I don't think I'll be standing here today. He looks over and just kind of nods in your direction, sucking the emotions back inside.
Sucks a tear back in.
Okay, thank you, Rickert. That's all I really wanted to ask you. It's just for you to inform us as to why we were there in the first place.
I've got that. He just point. You see, as he's like, as you're stopping there, he points up at the judge. Laurentius is a good boy, and he fights damn hard for this city. You see, like, the judge kind of squints ever so slightly.
Be respectful.
Connor, I'm going to ask you
Rickard, best boy.
to make me a persuasion check for Rickert Thorne.
Be respectful. I'm just. You go for this. Can you grab this from me? No. There we go.
I need to reroll.
Oh, no!
You need
Oh,
to
you
reroll
need
that.
to reroll. Okay.
That's not.
Do I add my modifier or Rickard's?
Would you roll a die?
14.
You see, while she squints at the curse, there's a small smirk as this older man defends his kin as he steps back.
Let me know whenever,
Bugarda's ready if you want him.
Mycilia, Will you do me a favor?
Yes.
Will you please cast Zone of Truth over myself and Mr. Bugarda?
Your Highness, would that be acceptable?
Yeah, so as this person is being brought in, you can see that he's like, as he's like walking in, one of the guards is like, has his elbow. It's not super rough. He's not in manacles where he is. He's being escorted into the room. You see Bugarda, this portly man, that small, I'm going to call it aggressively offensive patch of blonde hair. It's like, it's almost like a bad toupee, but it's physically attached and on a little bit off center.
What are the guards' reactions to him? Do they look disdainful?
They're not holding him rough because they don't want to get in trouble, but you can't help but notice this guy's got a couple bruises on him.
Good.
As he's kind of brought into the room, goes up to this platform. You watch as one of the guards who's attending puts a chair down for Bugarda, who sits. You see there's a bit of visible relief as he gets just kind of released, as the gut itself kind of wobbles as he sits.
I would suggest for all of our sakes that right now we're all completely honest and allow the effects of the spell to take place. Mycilia, can you tell if somebody resists your spell? Is it possible for somebody to tell if Zone of Truth is resisted?
I'm aware if saved or not. Creature aware it cannot lie.
Now, before I have you casting spells here in my court,
Of course.
gotten here in my notes, you've been working here in the city. You're a Tyrillan, aye?
Correct.
Well, we consider their kin to do. You are part of the ecosystem that is Eltz.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen your magics before. We don't generally see them in our courts. Expecting instead, folks. Typically, these cases are carried by writings. They're carried by the consensus of many.
Mm-hmm.
But, given the recent endorsement by High Lord Berenger, I'll allow this spell to be cast.
Thank you.
As you begin casting the spell,
Mm-hmm.
Bugarda is not going to willingly fail.
Okay.
This will affect you, Bugarda, Ismini, and there's another person.
Gerard.
Are you giving me disadvantage?
I'm gonna keep Gerard.
That'll be 4 people up. You want to do that?
You're not.
15 feet square?
You said not to.
Square?
What?
Is it?
Jam said not
You
to.
were advised not to, but you don't have to not.
Oh, then no.
Okay.
Not Gerard.
Gerard is gone.
I don't know why, and
Yeah.
that's fine.
Respect.
Respect.
He's a respectful man.
A
Can
nat
you look
20
at
or
this
nat
stuff?
1?
I'm not looking. I looked
Come on,
with permission.
I have a negative wisdom modifier.
Not very
So that
wise.
is 2 dice, okay? That's an 18 and a 17.
DC 16.
You watch as he's sitting here. Hey, I don't want to have people just in my head. It's an absolute miscarriage of justice. I think it's fine to just rip open someone's skull right here.
And tell it you don't have much faith in the Moon Mother.
I like her.
Kind of looks up. I've been awful mistreated in my time here. I, just a humble guest over in the West End, have been accosted by gods. This guild, all of them a bunch of crooks. False accusations of all sorts of terrible activity.
I did nothing.
Honestly, my heart can barely take it.
Truly an honest businessman.
We found inside of one of the towers an assassin employed by Mr. Bugarda, writing out orders, pretending to be Sten, Captain Sten. I'm under the effect of the spell. I cannot lie.
Are they immune for the duration of the effect if they pass, or if they have to remake the save? You probably need to pull up the full spell text, Amanda. You go ahead and check that while we're doing this.
Do you have HP?
Listen, I don't know what to get this idea that I could I have I could make some assassin. Listen, the way I see it, I haven't met this assassin. I haven't seen this assassin. Someone's over there making fake orders.
An assassin came early in the morning to come attack my friends and my found family at our home.
Called us family.
It's a charisma save.
That's probably worse for us, Kala.
Sorry.
It's a charisma save, and it's on each turn. So I don't know how
On
you
each
want to
turn.
do that in a 10-minute period.
Story turn.
Cool.
Over 10 minutes.
9.
I want my bicycle back.
An assassin.
I'm so
That's not-
sorry. We're a family.
You ruined the moment.
It's a Christmas.
An assassin was
Rules
sent to my
lawyer.
home. An assassin killed my friend Wynwyn Grandfair as we tried to stop your miscarriage of justice among the people of the West End.
Cheers.
Get him!
Crying.
Men were sent under false orders to burn the homes of those in the West End.
You watch this several times. He just tries to say something, and the words crack and break in his throat. He has to chew back down these lies he cannot quite spit into the air. And eventually he finds them. I didn't tell an assassin to go and attack you over breakfast.
You didn't have to tell an assassin to attack breakfast if you told an assassin to attack us in general, did you? Breakfast being the operating word in your sentence does not prevent you from telling us the truth in this moment right here, right now. You had an assassin under your employ, yes or no?
I don't normally have assassins working for me. I work hard in the...
I think the question was yes or no.
Yes or no?
You see the judge is kind of leaning over real intently, waiting for an answer. You whistle, bitch. I had everything that I wanted. And you all coming here thinking... He stops again. Like, this person is really mad. I would like you to make me a persuasion check. I want to see how much you get this guy tilted.
It'll be an 11.
6. So what? She's not even a citizen of the city. What good are you?
In
Just
my-
this northern mage. You're coming down here. You're causing problems with. You see him try to start say businessman. He's just like he's dealing with people who are better than you.
Where'd you get the collar from? That you used on Gerard? Was it from Zarathal, or one of his cronies? Undercroft, maybe?
Saying that name's gonna get you killed. You know
I don't
that,
give
right?
a fuck. Tell me where you got the collar from. That you used on a Crown's Guard.
Rio brought the collar.
Rio the Assassin. Funny that we just heard the name Rio used for the assassin earlier by the testimony of Gerard himself.
Yeah. Yeah, alright. It's fine. Yeah. Way I see it, my days are numbered if I'm gonna go in and sell here. They'll come and get me if they want me to work. Or maybe I just won't wake up at some point. But yeah. Yeah, I had an assassin. But there's more. He was good. He was just one man. They got others, I'm sure. Plenty of those Yadaras working for him.
Thank you for cooperating. Next. Will you tell us now?
Sure. We're gonna air out some dirty laundry while we're here.
Fantastic.
Past that point.
Were you involved in the orders to burn down parts of the West End due to non-payment of perceived
Yeah, who
debts?
cares about the people living in the weeds? It's not the crown.
We do.
He
All
just
of
looks
us.
over to the side, sees a Lily in the stand. I mean, actually, what do you look like when you're saying this? The bird.
We do.
We had all
People are straight up not observing decorum in these chambers.
Did you write a false order for soldiers to attack our home?
Oh man, is it really so much worse to have soldiers burn the place down than, everyone else likes to tread on them? Why can't we? There's got, a copper's not worth much. 100 coppers, 1,000 coppers? You get enough of these scum, bottom-of-the-barrel Eltzians together, you can make pretty gold making your way through the city. And the weeds, well, we'd let them dry. Thought it'd be a good way to, well, get business booming.
You knew who the Defiant Smiles were before you sent those soldiers to
Yeah,
us.
of course. They were a bunch of goody two-shoes. You're just going around saving people and thinking that's a way to make your life. You could have done so much better. You could have worked with me and the witch, and we would have had an excellent time.
Who is
And
the
honestly-
witch?
What was her name?
I don't think we...
I, the DM, am having a name problem here.
Oh, you are giving me far more than I wanted.
Hilda Terryweather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hilda?
Bitch! Thank you!
Only note.
I brought in Hilda from the old organization because we had a good idea. We'd go and we'd crack the West End. Way I see it, put a plan into motion, found myself in a castle in a couple weeks. Not too bad.
Did you know those soldiers would die if they were sent to the warehouse?
Didn't even think about it.
I'm gonna glance up at the judge.
Your Honor, with respect, I feel like we've proven our innocence, self-defense, and then also the good we do for this community.
May I ask?
I'd like to hear it from someone else before then. Since you decided to speak up, Miss Callish, I'd ask for you to have a seat here for a second. And I'd like to hear what our well-behaved boy, Mr. Thorne, has to say to Sir Therafel. Therafel, I understand you did not wish to do so, but I request for you to explain exactly how the Defiant Smiles killed your men. This one will be interviewing you. You see Therafel, this knight. He was the man on horseback who attacked midday that fateful day. He comes up, you see no armor, no filigree, a plain shirt. This man hasn't he's not quite as polished as he was before. You can see he's got more than a little bit of stubble, some curlies coming around on the side. We were given the orders a bit previously by Gerard. We thought it odd, but the markings were all there. They were correct. I thought I knew his hand.
You said that you thought it was odd. Is it because of the writing, like you didn't recognize it, or was it because you were ordered to bring us in, knowing our reputation?
No, the pen was perfect. To be frank, I still, looking at it, I still even questioned. I even questioned that the orders were fake. But I'm a soldier, and my duties are to the city. But I'd been sent to patrol the western reaches, outside of the city, and we have more than enough guards here to handle things within the walls. And should things go terribly, well, we have the Volcar. To bring in the soldiers was strange. Stranger still, during our time passing through some of the outer cities, I had heard of you. Though the names were not there, not very many people have a Loxodon among them, let alone a Loxodon and a Drow. And I mean that with no offense. So I heard how you had taken down Orwyn. Well, I thought it odd, but the orders were clear, and it wasn't my duty to question them.
Following orders? Yeah.
I led my men to their deaths, but I led them to your doorstep for yours.
That's true. Your Honor, we defended ourselves based on the previous testimony of Mr. Bugarda, I think we've realized that we were kind of on edge and untrusting of people in Eltzian soldiers' attire.
When
We thought maybe this was a push for Mr. Bugarda to come attack us. We thought maybe he sent some of his men.
am I still under the effects of Zone of Truth?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay.
You are, yeah. So you'd have to at this point you're still fine, but this is gonna be the very end of it.
I would like to say something before the effects of this truth spell dissipates. The night before, when we were helping fight the fires and stop the burning of homes in the West End, false Eltzian soldiers were there trying to stop us from saving people. In those moments, when soldiers were coming to attack us again, yes, I will carry their deaths for the rest of my life. I will always go to bed and remember that I killed people who were innocent and just following orders. But we were led to believe that those dressed as Eltzian soldiers were coming to kill us because of the orders of a man who had a little too much power. And he was trying to harm those who lived in the city.
It's not often that a murder case is brought before me that leads me to much sympathy for those alleged killers. Even in the best of cases, you typically find out about all sorts of sordid pasts. But neither Farafel nor you have indicated you had any particular feelings for these soldiers beforehand, save for general respect for our city. Along with some of these concessions I have written here from Guildmaster Brask, I believe we can set these charges aside for now. When we get to the end of the sentencing, we can be a bit more clear, but I believe I've heard all I need, unless you have more to offer.
Emissary, may I ask something for my own peace of mind? Before
Aye.
he is dismissed. Many of us have lost family, friends, brothers in arms in this moment. I merely want to know, was it worth it? You had mentioned that you had made your weight in gold, that everything had finally lined up for you. Was that more worth than the lives that you had taken?
So you're asking Bugarda?
I
didn't
thought
know
you were
you were talking
Yeah,
to
you
the
said
judge.
emissary first? I didn't know you were talking about Bugarda. Okay,
Bugarda, sorry. I said before he was dismissed. and then said Bugarda.
Yeah, my bad. I'm gonna make a real quick check. I want to see. Okay, he can roll dice.
Can he?
You're talking about the dwarf, aren't you?
The dwarf and many others, there's more than one life that was taken in this moment.
Listen, I don't want to get into any waterworks with you, and you've had a really good wine, huh, big guy?
Unfortunately, I've tasted plenty of good wine in my life.
Well, when you get to sip from the cup of wealth that being the king of the West End was, even just for the briefest moment, yeah, it was worth it.
Can I?
You gotta spill a few drops of blood to make it there, but hey. Yeah.
I appreciate your honesty.
Can I
It
mi-
was one of the last moments of integrity I expect from you.
Can I mind link with Bugarda and just say, just inside his head, you better hope they don't let you out.
Make an intimidation check with advantage. He's sitting here.
Buddy.
You watch as Bugarda is licking his lips during this monologue. This man gorged himself on power, on bloodlust.
20.
$19 on the die for an 18. He's stark white and shuts up at the end of this.
I just maintain.
Before he speaks her name, cuts himself off.
The High Judge sees all. I hope for your soul.
Aye, it'll be weighed fairly.
And that is what I'm worried about in your case.
Oh, that was that was the judge.
Oh,
I apologize.
sorry.
No, I know. I'm doing weird accents. I'm jumping around. It's fine.
Thank you for that moment, Your Honor.
It seems here we've got the next one. We've only got so much time on the docket here, so we've got to have to move along to this. I would like Ililia Erangel to come up to the platform.
All right.
Also asking for Pearlgut to make their way to the platform as well.
Sorry.
Entering the room with a long, it's kind of like a scarf that goes down, mostly bare chest, and a helmet that is offset just slightly to the side. A massive hill giant. You see him walking in with this, you can see he's actually got a crutch under one arm. Ugh.
Time out. How long has it been?
Couple months.
Can I make a quick
Oh, Judge,
check?
I'm supposed to go to the circle. Sorry.
Is he faking it?
Who's
Can
his
I
legal
tell?
team? Get a medicine
It's
check.
been months.
His lawyer is great.
A great defense lawyer. You know, accidental injury lawyer. Did you slip and fall in a parking lot?
Did you say medicine or perception? Because I heard
Medicine.
perception.
Medicine.
What does a 6 get me?
That guy, he looks hurt.
Elelier, how could you wound this man?
You're the little lady who got me to fall in the hole. I don't
I'm
appreciate
not
it.
laughing IRL, like in the canon.
You're laughing IRL, not in game.
Yeah. Reverses to
She did it.
amazing monsters.
This one right here did it. You made me fall, and now my leg don't work as well.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, wait.
I can.
Okay.
I will explain myself, by which I will mean, I'll say what happened.
Yeah, tell the little lady, tell everyone about how you made me fall, and then ran away with your wagon. I don't think you even paid your toll.
Actually, paid twice my toll.
Oh,
I paid
I
your
did-
toll.
I
missed a few that
Wait.
day because I fell.
I'm sorry. Quite some time ago, I left home, which is something I had not done before. And I went to go on an adventure, as frivolous as that sounds, given everything we have discussed in this trial prior to this moment. I brought with me Lady Callister, and I met my friends here. It was early in our adventures, traveling to this city that we were all looking forward to seeing, when we came upon our friend Pearlgut here. And I will admit, I was a mixture of cocky and a little frightened, and made a bad judgment call. If the crime is injuring this man, then I am absolutely guilty of it. And I, even in that moment, felt so immediately guilty that I, frankly, given some of my upbringing, thought money would solve the problem, but it didn't. And I'm sorry.
You had to leave home too?
The worst part is they didn't make me. I ran.
But you got to have family.
I found it and brought some along.
And ended up getting
I'm sorry, my leg doesn't hurt that bad. I'm okay. I
Do
can
you
walk.
wanna, Your Honor, am I allowed to hug the accuser?
Okay.
And he's like,
Hug it out.
Are we in trouble for greasing the teenager?
he does, like, you just see that, though he, like, kind of leans over, he is still hurt.
Yeah.
It's just not as big as he was making it a little, he was playing it up a little bit.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it hurts, but I can still do my
No,
job. I
it is-
actually get to sit on my bum most times.
If there's any accommodations you need, I am happy to make those happen as far as I'm allowed to.
My helmet's awful small. Will you get me a new one?
Absolutely.
It's resting. This is just a dude, a regular helmet. This is a hill giant. He's too big. Or he's too big for it.
Absolutely. I can't make one. It's so
No,
big.
I mean, later.
I've actually been learning blacksmithing, and I would love to make you one.
What's blacksmithing?
I turn metal into things.
Magic.
Yes.
The one that
I
knocked
want
you
one
down.
with a big doobly-doo on top.
So it shall be.
Blacksmithing's
Two
technically
doobly-doos.
alchemy, right?
So it shall be.
And a strap so it doesn't fall off.
We don't have enough.
People make me greasy.
Absolutely.
I lost my old one in the hole.
Keep opening that
I'll
wound.
even get you a little
I
harness
can't.
just in
I'm the one
case.
that can't.
just in case you need one.
Judge, can I say never mind? Fully hands in her, facing her hands.
I have my most winning smile on
yeah.
I didn't even have that one
Can I have
written
another
down.
hug before we go?
What?
Can I have another hug before we go?
You can have 2 hugs before you go.
All right.
Come on.
Is he still a little bit greasy to the touch?
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not. It's been so many months.
He's so stinky though. There's folds of hill giants. They do their best to get as bulbous and large as they can. It's a
Same.
prestige, right? And they do store things in the fat, including food, but they often
Doritos.
lose it.
Cards?
No,
for
there's
whenever
like
they're card sharking?
the hard part is that under like on one side here there are several folds containing
Dorito dust.
no less than half a dozen cabbages of varying ages.
Just picturing like
There's a fermented whole cabbage.
Amazing.
picturing a hill giant sprinting at you and just like shit falling out.
You just see an entire halfling fall out at that point.
Oh, I love hill giants.
Oh, Lord.
Amazing.
That's my
Alright.
next PC.
I'm sorry, Miss Lady.
You don't have to apologize to me. I was in the wrong.
All right.
She says that a lot.
Yeah, you was wrong. Oh. Got you.
Think about
then
what you're saying,
he's-
Silas.
He straight up goes and sits next to your box, like he just assumes that's where he's supposed to go now.
Sweet baby needs to be protected.
Win
Can we
number
hire him?
3?
Can we hire him?
Do you want
No,
some
he's already
pocket jerky?
Oh, I got cabbage.
I can't believe I was allowed to
Do you
keep the
want some
pocket jerky.
cabbage?
I'm so stuffed for
I
breakfast.
think it's sauerkraut at this point.
But I will say cabbage is her favorite food.
Gesundheit.
In a few hours, she'll love it. Just wait. She'll need it.
Absolutely. You watch as he eats this moldy cabbage and watches the rest of the trial.
You nasty.
I'm afraid we'll need to leave Olivier Arendral on the stand for the next 2 charges I would like for us to discuss.
And I'm afraid we're gonna have to take a quick break here before we the last
dare
couple
you.
of charges.
So recess or whatever.
A
they call it.
recess? Yeah. Oh, we get to
All
go to
right.
Jungle
After
Gym?
that last one, I'm gonna have to go find a bit of some stone salts, deal with the thrumming that's going up top.
We get to
I
go to the
hear
playground.
Like that
So-
northern bard, it bangs, bangs, bangs.
Right here. Rub it right here. Helps. Acupuncture.
Aye. We're gonna be back in just a few minutes. Stay right there.
Don't move.
We're gonna fill up our drinks and come back for more legal battles.
Hydrate, stretch, come back.
Hug your hill giants.
Have you hugged your hill giant today?
Think about
But
that.
done. Do you guys not? Everyone watched Judge Judy growing up, right?
Oh yeah.
That was a watch the show with mom show,
Only
right?
while
Yes.
waiting for an
I
oil
watched
change.
Bianca Del Rio. Was
I
that
watched
close enough?
Survivor with my mom.
I watched blacksmithing shows while
Law and
waiting for my
Order,
oil change.
like lots of Law and Order.
watched
We all had a
Vanderpump.
very different
Vanderpump rules. Jax is a
Vanderpump.
monster.
Blacksmithing.
Connor,
I stopped paying attention.
Survivor. Yeah.
75% of my dice rolls tonight have been 19s on the die.
You're gonna roll a 2.
Congratulations.
19.
Jake, give him the cheese touch.
No. We're going to jump right back in because I don't want us to get too off track, but we're going to jump right back into this case. All right. So you've addressed the I would say the largest matter of this encounter at your warehouse and the matter of all of the soldiers who've passed. Though there is still the matter of the royal line and your interactions with that. Miss Callister, would you like to proceed?
Yes, I would like for 2 things to happen. First, I'd like to call Olivier Arendral to the stand, and second, I'd like to ask, are you willing to submit to Zone of Truth?
Absolutely.
All right. Your Honor.
Mycelia, I appreciate you. Thank you. Get to work.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for being the Burr Zone
One thing
of
that
Truth
players
machine.
forgot is that this person was just going to straight up be a dwarf.
Yeah.
Be a dwarf.
Do.
You got a thing you can do? Go do it. Do task. Rock and stone.
All right, we're talking about the issue of kidnapping royalty and endangerment of royalty.
Yes, specifically, you're accused of not only bringing the princess into a battlefield, but some witnesses were claiming that she even was armed.
I would like
You
to
put her to work in a battle situation.
I would like to share that Princess Josephine, known to us as Jam, was at the duelist when it was attacked earlier.
Jam?
Was known to us earlier in our time in Eltz as a member of the Eltzian citizenry only. She was at the Duelist when the Duelist was attacked in the early morning of the first attack on our warehouse.
You're referring to the Daring Duelist, is that correct?
Correct. The Daring Duelist in the West End was also attacked around the same time as our home was the first time it was attacked. We brought her to our warehouse because we were under the impression that having already been attacked once that day, which we will get into further later when we talk about the charges against us involving Kieran Shadal, we believed that that would be a safer place for her to be since we'd already been attacked once in the day and did not believe a second attack was incoming. We didn't expect another attack in broad daylight. Far beyond our imagination.
No, I don't believe many would expect the brazenness of the man we just saw here in this court.
But we'd like to talk about that morning in the decision to bring Princess Josephine to our home. Lilia,
Lilia, you're familiar with the princess, then?
you're now under zone of truth.
I knew her, though I did not know the truth of who she was at the time. The morning of the event, each and every day I go on a morning run. It's probably well known for people who are in our area, as is the fact that I compete as the Daring Duelist under the pseudonym Mad Magus. That's where I met Princess Josephine. On my morning run, I was attacked in broad daylight.
Who wants to run in the morning?
I do, every morning.
She does not miss a day.
My mother said it was the key to success.
Your Honor, we've
And-
already seen that she is not the most stable person.
Please disregard him.
Strike that from the record.
Hey,
Yeah, objection
Stenographer.
form.
Eltz is-
Objection.
my mother's,
Objection.
both members of the Guardians of the Silver Dawn, advised that it was a key to success.
Relevance.
Where are they? Question mark?
Yeah, objection relevance. Continue, please.
Sorry.
They said it, not me.
I smacked him and said, "Be quiet."
Be quiet.
All right, Peanut Gallery. Get out of here before I have the mages hose you out of here.
Is that an elephant joke, you racist?
Jake.
that's a Jake comment.
Silas.
She yells at some of the day drunk dudes in the second level who were just
A man
Peanut
with the
Gallery.
shirt that says the word Jake.
One of them, like you just hear, take it off. Guards escort that man out.
Afterwards, I found myself at the Daring Duelist, where a murder had taken place. The place had been burned to the ground. And I found the person I know at the time as Jam there. Defenseless. Completely... I had been attacked in the open. I think it is well known who I associated with at the Daring Duelist.
Why are you claiming? You claim the princess was present at this Daring Duelist. Why would you claim that to be? It is my understanding during this time she should have been participating in riding lessons.
I honestly cannot comment on the princess's schedule. I went there because I was concerned about the fires that had happened. And about my potential friends and allies there.
I'm going to pause you there.
Mm-hmm.
And that one catches you. Lilia explicitly mentioned she was going there because she wanted to check in with Jam.
You have to be honest.
You catch yourself. You're physically incapable of
You
completing
are-
the same statements as you tried.
You are under the zone of truth spell. I'm making you be honest.
Do you want to call Jam to the
Yes! My hand is out for that reason.
Do you want to call
I don't want
Jam
her to
the
have to
stand?
incriminate herself.
No, she can stand outside of the zone.
Already been cast.
I think it would be
Outside
best
the radius.
for the princess, if she may, to state why she was there on her own words.
Rhubarb freaking out from the audience. You see
Outside
one
of
of the
her
crown
I
guard who was
don't
standing
want
there.
to incriminate
You just
her.
hear someone go, "How dare you!" A young woman stands from her throne and looks to her father. Concentration, a demand in her eyes. He has been silent throughout this case. And nods. As she begins, she fully stands, you watch as everyone stands.
Can we also stand?
We're already standing. We don't have chairs.
I'm gonna bow politely.
I meant the box to have chairs. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you told us we didn't have chairs.
Pedestal pedestal doesn't have chairs in the
thought that was
for
our
it.
I've been thinking that I had share this whole time.
You guys have to stand.
I've been thinking.
the stand.
Like an HEB.
Wait, tell me, can I make con saves
Cheers,
for
and we're
locking
all
my
like, no, we'll
kneecaps?
stand. We're good.
But people are freaking out, and as Josephine stands, everyone rises. You see a lot of bowed heads, but this is sort of is this very instant transmogrification of the air, just this tension. As she steps down, stands on the pedestal,
I wasn't gonna call her.
and stands side to side with you.
My plans.
Thorns
There's
saluting.
still
for
the
no
zone
reason.
of truth. Fail.
No.
No, she's not sitting in it.
She
willingly
enters.
fails.
Oh, she
Yeah.
willingly failed.
She enters at the
Yes.
start of her turn. She has to make a save.
Respect.
Respect
What?
early.
What did she do to indicate to you that that wasn't the case?
Well,
I
I
just
just
vote
thought this was
royalty.
beneath
Because-
her as royalty.
I think that there was this assumption that she might.
What is the greatest royal
want to
secret,
protect
ma'am?
some of her own
She's-
secrets.
In her
Yeah.
rebellious phase, it's fine.
She doesn't have to answer a
I'm
question,
sorry, that's
though.
not true.
I am-
Right.
My name is Princess Josephine Augusta Marie Mudrust.
Josephine Augusta Marie. Jam.
Yeah. Jam.
Did you not put that together already?
Yeah.
Dumb.
Her initials are Jam.
Silas is over here in the box being dumb.
I also didn't put it together until just now.
My intelligence is 6 in IRL, so
Can't read.
yeah.
Before your questions, I would like to confirm to you, my high lady, that so far the discussion of the events of that day have all been accurate to my knowledge. Lilia, do you have anything else I can add? I would be happy to help. You have been nothing but kind since I met you in the duelist.
I went to the Daring Duelist to ensure that Jam was safe because it was important to me. Not knowing who she was, but she was a friend.
And I have to ask, cool. If you're happy with Lilia saying that, and that's what Lilia's gonna stake, okay.
There's a pause. Friend is not inaccurate and not
It isn't
untruthful.
a lie.
It isn't untruthful.
It was hard to get at, but it still let you.
Yes.
They were.
I was not armed by you. I already had my equipment, for I was there to participate in the duel later in that day.
I guess I don't need to ask why you were there then.
Whisper, 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 whisper.
The morning of the incident. You were there for a duel.
Yes.
Did you accompany Olivier under duress?
No, I was scared, and I trust her.
Why
I thought-
did you not reveal yourself whenever the warehouse was under attack?
I did reveal myself, but I waited until you were able to. It was a moment that I could be a distraction so that you all could leave and find who had been causing this. I knew that Therafel was a kind man and that he would keep me safe with the Defiant Smiles no longer available. But before the battle, there was so much chaos, and my hands were still shaking from when that poor woman was killed.
When I found the Daring Duelist burned to the ground, or not entirely burned to the ground, but damaged from the fires, and people dead, and knowing that we had been attacked by people dressed as Eltzian military, I didn't feel it was safe to leave Jam there and asked for her to come with me. She agreed, because I thought that the Defiant Smiles could protect her better than, well, anyone else. When the battle occurred, I don't think anyone should be ever left defenseless. It is unfair to ask anyone to always trust others to keep them alive.
Lilia has helped me to feel less defenseless. She has been teaching me swordplay. people chatting and such. There are fully like looks around. You see the king's head snap up at that.
I'm gonna look away from the king.
Are dead. We are dead.
In the duelist, the guards were not there. There were a few other duelists who were there who were able to protect the patrons from Bugarda's men, but had they not raised their arms, more would have been slain. I watched Torlin. He's a guardian of the Silver Dawn. He helped to protect the people. But as people drew closer, I drew my blade. In the end, once the men had been driven off, I stood there like a scared little girl. And then a member of the Defiant Smiles arrived. And I knew we were able to stop this because they're heroes. As I stated when these charges were initially rendered, they are not true and are a farce. Through what conspiracy, I know not. But these are good men and women. Now, is there anything else that either of you, you nobles from Issel, can ask of me?
No, thank you. I appreciate your willingness to come forward.
You honor me.
I'm gonna give a deeper bow.
There's some eyebrows. There are some offended people. You can hear there's some people who are, a lot of people who are freaking out and excited. But there's a couple people who are mad at the kind of decorum that's happening here.
Oh yeah, be mad.
No,
While I'm still under the zone of truth, and before Jam / Josephine / the princess leaves the stand, we'll be like, I didn't have a theory. I mean...
Just tell her you love her already.
1 second. Here you go. You got the whole table.
Give it to me. You have 3.
Just kiss.
I'm under the zone of truth. Thorn runs everything for me.
Wait, did you put that in her mind?
I assume it was audible.
Oh.
In your brain.
Hey,
Chloe.
you mentioned half of the crowd being upset by the decorum.
No, just some. You get the people who are a little more pompous are like, oh, this is how uncouth.
Where does our grand emissary fall on
Clutching
that line?
pearls.
I can't
Are you
call
referring
him
to the judge?
Yes.
The judge does not seem to be caring about that part of the politics of things.
Good to know,
What's
actually.
is her brother there?
Jam's brother?
Octavian is not here.
Winking.
Brother's hot.
Jesus Christ.
Y'all can be so
marry into the same family. That'd be so good for us.
Your sister somewhere is like, yes.
What about us that are still here? Sorry.
I have this. It's official. Been labeled.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's so silly to say now. I didn't know. Nothing of what I did or how I acted was because I thought you were an important person or born
both
into
know that.
nobility.
Thank you.
Also, I hope you get to do your duel.
She says nothing to that last part and walks back.
Fair
Her
enough.
father watching as she sits.
But also still avoiding
Hard to
his
read.
face.
Now, one of these charges, my aide here has told me we've received an important note in the confession here that may render it somewhat moot. Now, I was to understand that you took a renowned figure in our community, Sir Shadal, and stuffed him in a dirt hole beneath a magically locked wooden panel.
I would like to get off the platform.
I would like to share entirely what happened here, and I have evidence to present for this as well.
Aye, perhaps your take will be more interesting than Rugardas.
All right.
Why don't you tell me, little mage, what exactly caused you to put Kira in a hole?
So, I would like to share what happened a few months ago in regards to a man named Zarathal, a necromancer who was attempting to raise half of the city as zombies or other forms of undead in order to protect it. I would like
Now,
to...
have you been reading those rags they've been putting out? But this, I haven't heard much about the necromancer outside of the message.
I would like to enter into the record his notes from his tower. I think you would find that the charge of destruction of a military fortification will fall nicely into what we're discussing now.
I need you, Victoria, right now. I would like a perception check.
I think we need a bicycle. I think we need a bicycle.
Give her a bicycle, please.
I don't have one.
Give me my notebook, please.
Roll an
14.
That is not a success.
I didn't think so.
What about the
I rolled
bicycle?
lower. I rolled lower.
Someone, upon hearing this in the audience, is greatly alarmed.
I don't give a shit.
No.
I would like to know.
Too bad.
It's fucking Branson. Sorry, I'm really trying to clean up my language.
I mean, Branson sucks.
Branson sucks.
He's not evil necessarily.
I would like to enter into the record Zarathal's
Behringer.
notes of his plans to raise an army of your citizenry in order to protect us from some extraplanar threat.
Now, all of you in the Peanut Gallery need to relax. These are outrageous claims, and I expect quite a bit of information to be in these here notes.
Chunk, chunk, chunk.
Oh, as it's
like
slowly
physical
brought up,
injuries.
this massive amount of information is brought up. She actually has to stop, come down from the pedestal, and looking this over.
I would like to subject myself to the Zone of Truth spell.
Is the third one?
Yep.
It's gonna take a while. This is gonna just you is gonna be the usage of this charge because she's gonna be looking through this.
In a minute, whenever she's finished reading. I want to give it as much time as possible.
Now this Zarathal figure, it looks here. Wait a second. You're claiming this is related to the incident on the northern wall?
Yes.
If I'm to understand, you're claiming that not only is this Zarathal figure involved with Kieran in some way, but also has to do with... Now why did you just... I apologize for having to have these things together, but it seems they're quite linked. Why exactly did you destroy the northern wall? Or are you denying that as well?
Under the Zone of Truth, please?
Yep.
We did not destroy the northern wall.
If not you, then who?
There were robed cultists in red and purple, we believe potentially tied to the Undercroft, who were shooting ballista of magma bolts at the wall as we fought Zarathal to the death.
Bolts and ammunition is warfare.
It is.
Shouldn't be stationed upon the northern wall.
I don't think it was brought there. I think it was used as part of the ballista.
I don't think the guards on the northern wall normally.
I would like to
purple
present
or-
into evidence the robes of those who attacked the wall.
There's
People are freaking out. Now all of you better be silent in my court for now.
Thank you, Amanda, for making it more dramatic.
That was what I was trying to say.
How much media coverage is on this court case?
Austin
no.
Cooper is
There are
on
a lot of people here.
We're televised.
it. I will have you know, in everything we have done, from fighting Zarathal to stopping...
The
Our-
Undercroft is a tale to scare little boys and girls of the nobility.
We have fought multiple people from the Undercroft. The Undercroft is real. I am under Zone of Truth. I understand what I am saying. The Undercroft is real. Everything we have done, from stopping Zarathal,
Beginning with Orwin.
beginning with Orwin, all the way to now, stopping a blue dragon from attacking the countryside of Eltz,
Good job.
from stopping Bugarda and his men from burning down the West End, from fixing the issue with Scober, and everything we have done has been in the service of the people of Eltz. Yes, I have a duty to the House of Summer. I have a duty to the Kingdom of Issel, the Kingdom of Chalcedonia, and the House of Summer. But I have a duty to all people that I come across as well, and I will not sit by idly and let people come and destroy this city. The Undercroft is real, and we are here to stop them.
If I am understanding this, and I do hope you'll correct the letter of it if I'm not, what you're claiming is that there was a man, this Zarathal, who not only was causing all sorts of strange experiments, But if these numbers are correct, this would have led to the death of over a quarter of the city.
I would like to call into the witness stand a member of the Defiant Smiles, Immersed, who was rescued from underneath Zarathal's tower.
All right, then.
Do you run your 5K?
Yeah, he ran laps in the dining hall.
Yeah.
Remember, he's under arrest too. He's here in the box.
I know.
Yeah, I know he is.
This
Been
human
bothering him
man
every
under
day.
arrest. Oh, wow, this zone thing feels quite strange. Boss, how can I help? This is terrifying. I don't like this.
It is not very fun.
It's really messing with my IBS.
Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? Making me feel really sick right now. Oh, I know, it's really bad. I would like to openly in front of the king say our stomachs hurt. Were you held inside of a dungeon in the northern wall?
Yeah, after I originally came here on a ship, but this Zarathal, he ended up capturing me and some of the other men from my boat, and well, I found my way into a dungeon for quite some time. That is until I was helped by a man with a crossbow, and then he brought me to the rest of you.
When inside of the holding cell, what horrors did you witness when it came to those of the undead?
Revealing a piece of information you only ever heard but never confirmed. There was a massive spider. It was probably 25 feet tall, 30 feet tall. And some of these men would bring down these husks of humans and just feed it to the spider. But it wouldn't just drain them or spin them around like spiders normally would. It would tear them apart. And some of them didn't have blood in them. It was like something had been done to their bodies. I'm from the Penumbral Steppes, and things are rough there, but I don't sleep so well thinking about it.
Were you aware of the name of your captor?
Yeah. Only saw Zarathal once or twice, but we were told about him.
Did you see any of the drow that served under him?
Yeah, there were... I'm not very good at identifying particular features, but there were two that kind of seemed to hate each other. A woman, and then there was a man with a bow. But I stopped seeing the man after a while.
I assume this woman was the same as was found inside of Lord Branson's home?
As he begins describing this, you see, looking at her notes, the judge here. Is there a reason, if this is all true, that you didn't come forth to the authorities to such a massive conspiracy?
We were under the impression that the faster it stopped with as little red tape as possible, the better. The longer it went on, the more people died, and I was not going to sit by and watch it.
Seems like there was an awful lot of assumptions of the incompetency of the process of the guards and justice system here.
Not incompetency, but I've seen how slow things can move, and I see how fast Zarathal can work. You've seen his notes now. You understand what he was planning. A second delay could be the difference between lives lost and lives saved. This is a magical, very powerful man. We all know what the implications of magic can be on a society.
Unfortunately, this man you're speaking of, it looks here in his notes, I do see that Orwin is listed here. You're claiming that Orwin was working with Zarathal.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that does bring us to another one of our charges. The matter of Mr. Brims. He was associated with no less than 35 incidences with Orwin. And while Orwin is in the Nine Arch lockup, he's still waiting for one of his former companions. Why exactly is it that Joseph Brims was found within the found with the rest of you?
When we fought Orwin, we brought him to the guards. We turned him in. One of his men stood down and stopped fighting and said, I don't want this. And that was Yosef.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may speak.
I assume full responsibility for anything and everything that Yosef has done and will do in the future. This decision fell on my shoulders, and I gladly stand by it, for he has done more of a service for us than I can tell you in this moment. And if that service in your eyes has been negligible to the city of Eltz, then that is also a responsibility I will gladly take on in his honor.
We've not much time before we've got to bring in High Lord Branson in order to discuss those last few charges here. I believe a bit of a roundup to discuss. Let's recap here what exactly we've got here. Got Silas here. You're claiming that you'll vouch for this Yosef.
With my life.
Bold. You had something to say, Laurentius?
Yeah, if you would. He's a good man. He was just on the wrong path. Now he's been guided by us, and he's on the right one. I don't think past problems should influence how he is now. He's a good man.
I'll speak for Yosef, frankly.
I think we all would gladly.
Do you know the name Carabet?
Do I?
I don't
No?
think any
None of us
us
have
do.
heard his name.
I looked at
Kind woman, lived in Holy Fandra. At least until Orwin and a group of goons broke into her estate. Little more than a burglary. Miss Carabet is dead. Frozen like a statue in her own home. Old elven woman. Got to live long enough to watch her own brown hair turn silver. Killed like a plaything.
Your Honor,
What justice is there?
That sounds like the makings of Zarathal.
may I ask something regarding the history of Eltz and the status of this court?
Mm-hmm.
If a commander in the Eltzian Guard issues an order that harms the city of Eltz, who is held responsible? The soldier that executed it or the commander that gave the order?
Jake? This is a puzzle. Here is a bicycle.
Welcome to Nuremberg trials.
Yeah, I was like,
That's what I
We're
wrote down at the
Nuremberg
beginning of this
trials.
freaking session.
Oh my god, welcome to Nuremberg.
In the eyes of the city of Eltz, who would you care to see held responsible? The man that pulled the trigger or the man that gave the order? Because I will put my life on the line that order was not of Yosef's.
I have a question for Mr. Brims. As he kind of, as this, you see Yosef actually has his hair pulled back, his long black hair pulled back.
I'm so proud of
Steps
him.
past Ililiev, steps past Pearl Gut, and makes his way to the platform. All right. Your friends here speak awful kindly of you. What did you do, exactly? What was your job for Orwin? So at this point, you hear a familiar tale. That Yosef was a lookout. His job was to blow a horn, ring a whistle, sometimes shout. Occasionally, sure, he did a bit of highway robbery, but wasn't involved directly with this. As she hears this man's testimony, hearing all this speech, is at this point that Gith once more returns to her side. The yellow-skinned man with a small slip of parchment hands it to her, looks. Seems like you may have a bit of fortune on this day. Well, you all were busy making a bit of a mockery of whoever wrote up these charges. Seems that a few of these have been requested to be overlooked. stamp from a High Lord is not exactly common for outsiders and lowborn. Don't know what exactly caused High Lord Branson to change his mind here. But it seems there was a request for the absolution relating to the lament, the theft of the lament and the Volpine. And well, in the latter, he may have that authority. The former, unfortunately, is affects more than just the High Lord's pockets. Well, consider what you've said about Mr. Brims. But I'd like to know why exactly it is you stole from one of our temples. 2 lights burnt out. 2 lights that could have given hope to many a person.
Your Honor, I have information that would be very important for you that should not be heard by the rest of the ears of this court.
Then I advise you find a defense that does not require it.
I will speak.
This court is for justice. If you want justice through secrecy, you'll have to die first and speak to the High Judge himself.
May I speak to you first, then privately, and you can announce this information?
Make a persuasion check, but you know this is hard.
Can she approach? Can she approach the bench?
Nat 20.
Math 20?
Math
Oh, okay.
20.
Math
Still,
20.
really good.
But
God, what is your persuasion?
I was 16.
Girl. Wisdom.
You were brought before the pedestal. Geshir mutters a few words, and the stone on the other side of the pedestal raises, bringing you up to her level. What is it that's so important that you have to keep it from the eyes of the people?
As far as I'm aware, no one outside the temples knows this information. But there is a problem with divine magic. I know my High Cleric is having problems communicating with the Moon Maiden. And I know I've gone to several temples as well to ask if this was just a problem with the Moon Maiden. I've experienced loss of divine magic before, and I was worried that something was wrong with my goddess. But it appears to be something wrong with many goddesses and gods.
You know me, had to be a priestess of the High Judge. There was an illness, it had seemed. It must have run through the course of those who work over at my temple. But I was not aware it affected others.
I know.
But we did not have any influences necessarily upon artifacts, just people. I would recommend you explain the artifacts. We'll set aside the matter of spells being obtained by those who pray for them.
I know it affects at least 5 temples. Those I've been allowed to go into. Of course, there are some I cannot.
And just to remind you, Amanda, you know that the light of the torches is kept by the lament.
I have a thing for the lament, don't worry. You're going to have to testify.
Thank you for this information, and I will consider it in my ruling.
Question.
I don't think the act of adventurers in a short amount of time would be able to affect an ancient artifact. I think that there is more going on to this magic than what we're aware of. That something is affecting the divine magic itself, and that is why the artifact is damaged and why the torches are going out.
Consider this. I thank you, Mycelia. Blessings of Judge and Moon upon you.
Thank you.
You descend, turning to the rest of your companions here. All right. Why do you have the sword? Sure, Branson may have forgiven you from pilfering from the temple he seeks as ruling as his duty with his kin. But why?
I would like, under Zone of Truth, for Lilia Arendral to speak as to where she found the Martyr's Lament. As you will find, it was not inside of a
This
temple.
parlor trick is growing less and less amusing as the hours wane on.
No parlor trick, but honesty, proven to you by divine magics.
Oh, I understand very well.
Would the High Lord not respect something as honest and truthful?
I've already
as
given
this?
my assent, Silas.
Lilier. As I understand, the night that the Martyr's Lament was taken, you were with Gwyn Grandfear, who cannot currently speak to where the Martyr's Lament was found. However, I would like to ask you, where did you find the Martyr's Lament?
I found it in the vault of High Lord Branson.
You have any who could confirm this?
Well, my friend Gwynwyn is dead at the hands of Vigarda, so...
What exactly were you doing in his vault? He may have forgiven you, but the information is relevant to the image of the temple.
I was obtaining the Velvet Volpine so that we could track and ultimately slay Zarathal.
Taking some time explaining the magical properties of the Velvet Volpine.
And then ultimately, as we did, return it to where it belonged, in the Goliath Monastery.
Now, I would take care of the way you're speaking, unless it is intentional here. It sounds that you're accusing High Lord Branson of moving the sword from the temple to this vault.
I know nothing of how the sword arrived there. All I know is that I came upon it. We were facing a vile necromancer, and ultimately, it was the weapon with which I slay him.
Olivier, if I may, what was the status of the sword when you found it?
Damaged. I'm no cleric, and no worshipper of the Morning Lord. So I cannot wield it with the way it's meant to be, but I know what an artifact is supposed to look like, and it was definitely not in the state or of the abilities that I would expect.
And again, you found the sword inside of the vault and not inside of the temple, correct?
Yes.
This information, along with the sudden withdrawal from High Lord Branson, calls into question quite a bit of what I've been told here.
If I may add, Gwynwyn and myself, outside of that vault, faced two of Zarathal's allies, one coerced under the same collar, worn by a crown guard, Gerard.
Would you like to present the collar?
I would like
Yes.
to present the collar.
Please.
Pulling out this collar from the evidence. If you'd like to get Gerard to confirm this, what this was, Geshir can also identify what this is. Over the next couple of minutes, it'll take time. Is that okay?
Yeah.
They begin working through this process here, and you can see. You have proficiency in your passive insight?
Passive insight's going to be 15, I believe.
You can see
yes,
the
15.
writing on the wall with the judge. She's floored.
Kieran Shadal was originally employed by Zarathal and then later by Rugarda. This is why we fought him in both locations, the Northern Wall and at our warehouse the day of the attack against the Eltzian soldiers. This has been a very large, very strange, I won't use the word conspiracy, but...
Well, you just did.
We weren't...
Suggestive, I know, but...
Colorful language is normally the realm of Christine. We've all been reading the rag.
Understandable. She is a good writer. But there has definitely been some things of curiosity. Our friends, my friends, have solved the issue of Scoberin, have fought a blue dragon near the Red Rock Monastery. We can bring Don Teal to the stand to testify to our fight against the dragon and bringing back the Velvet Volpine. We can talk about our fight against Zarathal, and we can talk about our current hunt for somebody who seems to be plaguing some members of various Eltzian families.
If you would prefer, we can go through all of your witnesses you've called here. We can have them speak their piece, allow the city to hear what they have to say about you. But no, if we're going to go through all of them, with my notes already compiled here, I would ask for you to allow them to proceed their testimonies unabated.
Absolutely.
Very well.
If I may, before you start, I'm not from here. I don't necessarily at this time plan to live out the rest of my life here. But I've sustained a number of lifelong injuries in defense of the city. I bear the marks of the fight with Zerathal. I risked the use of my arms entirely to get those notes that you read.
As you all confirm those stories, the judge has been taking notes, writing upon her parchment over the next 3 hours.
Damn.
You hear from Walt Behringer discussing the character of the members of the Defiant Smile and how he's come to rely upon them and how he intends, should the possibility arise, to recruit them for quite a number of future endeavors. You hear again from Therafel, who tells the side of the story he'd prefer to have been able to speak of his failings. in that. You finally hear from Sten in person, how he describes his point of view, what actually happened here when he was in Bamberg Keep, how he was kept locked away, the strange device that was almost decapitated him. You hear from others, including Andy, this worker who had been called in by Walt, who was a worker at O'Brien Steel, where he described what he had heard and what he learned during your visits there. A small boy named Felix is present, talking about how you had passed through his home and telling more about what had happened to his life and also the lives of everyone back from Carthholm because of the Defiant Smiles. An honored member of the community, Miss Vanilla Bean, is brought here, and is happy to report that the individuals here have not only are delightful customers, but have also done quite a bit of work for both some of my members of my family and important customers to my business. Chief Don Teal makes his appearance here, talking more about how we found several scales from the dragon that they slayed in protecting Red Rock Monastery. Red Rock and the surrounding villages have also begun to grow as we trade with the kobolds who now live atop the mountain.
Nice. Sorry.
You hear from many others from your time here in Eltz. And by the end of things, there are very few within this great throne room, the various levels of these people who are watching, very few who know of the Smiles in ways other than their heroism. I've heard much, but there is not always the letter of the law on your side. Luckily, you have quite the man helming your guild. Milton, with all that you've heard today, would you still like to go about your deal? Brask stands and gives a little nod. All right, then. Before I make my verdict, do you have anything else you'd prefer to say?
We understand that there are problems larger than ourselves happening in Eltz. We understand that there have been incidents that have yet to be solved and problems that have yet to be fixed. We understand that very important people have died. And we will not rest, having been affected by this ourselves. We will not rest until this is solved. I think you and I both know what I'm discussing. That is what keeps us in Eltz.
I must request that all of the members of the Defiant Smiles please come stand in the center of the room. Laurentius Thorn, stop saluting, you git. You are to pay 250 gold pieces for disorderly conduct and several incidents of public urination. I also heavily advise you to ease up on the drink. We all have to at times.
Just morning.
Regardless of your intent, I do expect some amount of compensation in order to pay for the many diamonds we're having to import to bring back some of those soldiers. As such, I'm levying a fee of 5,000 gold pieces to be handled individually by members of the Smiles, in addition to additional charges to the guild itself.
I can handle 5,000.
Your Honor,
I don't have enough money.
is it possible an act of service or something thereof similar could assist with this payment?
Right, that can be discussed as well. But to continue on from there, I understand your intentions, and I do. In general, this court is designed to deal with justice at a cosmic level, but also with respect to the city and her laws. Heroic as many of these actions may have been, you have done quite a bit of damage to the city, and your actions, as they did not involve the military, did have quite a bit of cost to the city and her people. But this Zarathol, well, it was certainly valiant for you to face off with him. Perhaps there was a better way to go about it. I don't know. I'm in your debt for it. But unfortunately, we'll never know what would have been the better path. Milton Brask. Yes, ma'am. As per the agreement established before these proceedings, you're stripped of your title as Guildmaster. You'll be escorted at the end of the day on accounts 1, 7, and 9 in order to pay both the fees from your remaining ledgers and spend your time in the 9 Arch in order to compensate for several failings. As with the Guildmaster's Code and the creed that is subjected between the gods and the guilds and the crown itself, you're to do time. You've nominated your eldest most member of your guild as your replacement. Is that still correct? As Milton nods and the judge looks up. Yes, Lady Callister.
May I be brought before you as Mycelia was?
Aye, but this should be the last interception. Last interruption before I finish with these with my verdict, and then allow for consolations as Silas had indicated. You're brought up once more. Yes, Lady Callister.
We know about the painter. We've been tracking him since we entered the boundaries of Eltz. One of our friends was murdered by him. We've collected numerous paintings and seen far more.
Then I suppose you'll want to hear what I have to say next to you and the rest of your friends. As I do believe that such a task would be could potentially be perfect for the I almost said the Guardians, for the Smiles to work off the debt of not just themselves, but one of their companions.
Anything we can do to save Brask from our failings.
You'll have to make a decision there.
Thank you. I just wanted to not alarm the public with this, but we all know what's happening.
Unfortunately, one of these here I did not find quite so compelling. Even with the most accommodating of reductions I could do, the charges against Yosef are quite solid and unambiguous. Failing any accommodations by this guild, I would see Yosef Brims also make his way to the 9 Arches for no less than 95 years.
May I still assume all of his charges as well as Gwynwyn Grandfear? He will not have 95 years, but I gladly will.
The charge of harboring a fugitive is something we could speak of, or any crimes that he has done since you've met him. But most of these precede you being present. What justice in there would be to put you, an apparently innocent man, behind bars when another man stood by while murders happened?
Much like Joseph was ordered to do the wrong thing, he was also ordered by me to follow us. I assumed responsibility for him then, and I will now. Whether it is serving the crown or serving my time, I will gladly take whatever crimes he has done and shoulder them myself. I promise he is an innocent man. Has he not lived in this city for so long?
Lady Callister has raised an interesting proposition. Brask will be... Brask has acted well-intended as Guildmaster of the Smiles. Several of these decisions here could have been made in such a way that could have prevented both loss of life and loss of property here in the city. And as such, I would confer upon him the minimum possible sentence I could, and have him in our arches for 6 months in addition to the fees. However, it is quite difficult to understand how Yosef would be absolved by yourself, Silas. However, as Lady Callister has indicated, there is a grave threat to this city. Perhaps not as grave as the one you've discussed here during this trial, but one that would be beneficial to the people of the city and the crown itself. And so I would propose an alternative. There is a threat here within the city, and I believe perhaps the Defiant Smiles, as they took one threat from the shadows out, may be up for another. Let's start small. There's an individual who is causing harm to people of the city, and I believe many others shall know of him soon. This painter. Yeah, she'll eat this. How long do you think it would take for you to have him here for me, to be judged? Could you do it in 30 days?
We can do our best.
Dead or alive?
That's not my question. Can you do it, or can you not?
I'm gonna look at everybody in turn.
Dead or alive?
I'm
Yes.
offering judgment. I'm asking for yours.
Alive? We can do it.
Consider this a trial run. Smiles, you've impressed me. We'll be holding Yosef. You've 30 days. You've got your fees. There'll be a few more minor bits of gold to discuss, but we'll deal with those quibbles here. After the fact, I'll have my clerk tally everything up quite for you. You're lucky you're not leaving here in manacles. And we're lucky to have had you.
It's his meaning.
Now get out of my court. I got more things to deal with.
Alright, let's go home.
Bring me a painter and you'll have your brims.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do more, maybe we can have Brask back.
We're fucked.
How much did I owe for my conduct? again?
200 something gold.
250?
250.
And it's
Hey, do you want to get splashes
5,000.
over here?
It was 5,000 for the damages.
Yes, the big thing is this. Most of your fees are actually, not that, but the rest of your fees are actually coming out of what the Defiant Smiles and Milton Brask had. A huge chunk of that wealth.
I could distract 5,000. I could take 5,000 gold out of party loot.
Yeah, just do that.
I just did.
We need
Great.
to repair the warehouse and make it
Oh
the new
god,
headquarters.
whatever.
We'll worry about that later. We can do manual labor.
I'm good. I
Yes.
took the gold out of my loot.
I took it out of party loot because we're all guilty.
Not all
All
of us as
people,
much as
that's
others.
The king, silent as ever,
the one that got
watches
caught.
as the Defiant Smiles leave
Can I finally
free men and women.
Can I finally look at him?
You've been able to look at him this whole time.
I've been avoiding his gaze.
Days.
I would like you to make me a wisdom saving throw.
Sure.
This is a fear effect.
Just charmed.
Disadvantage.
No way!
I managed to roll worse. That's gonna be a 6.
You look at Jam's father, the king of Eltz. And as you turn, like you maybe squint your eyes a little, maybe a little bit of a grimace, like you're not sure how to deal with it. A smile on his face, but he's not making eye contact quite with you. He's turned to the side and is looking down towards Jam, who is beaming. As he kind of turns back towards you, he leans back, ready to observe the next. He did not have to intervene in this trial.
Who knows how he would have intervened?
I do.
Is there any way we can
Page
find out?
6. Or
Can I see page 6?
7?
Look,
No.
Gwyn is
Hard no. You want that information, you'll have to come watch Footnotes.
So if we watch Footnotes, we can find out whether or not the king liked us.
As you're kind of heading not answering that.
Zone of truth.
He just won't answer.
Oh, wait a second. Guys, wait. I need to make a save. Where's the orange die?
I don't know what my
rolls a 1. Rolls a 1.
That is a natural 19. No joke.
Get fucked, honestly.
That's like your 4th one.
No, it's like my 8th one. I've been rolling a lot of dice, though, for just decisions behind
Can I
the screen.
switch your orange die?
I
for
have
my
3
orange die?
D20s out!
You know, I have an
The
orange
one
die.
time
You
we
can have
switched
mine.
dice, he rolled well with my die.
To be fair, yeah. Every time I switch
Yeah.
dice with people, I roll well.
Moral of the story: the DM always rolls well.
But as you're... I can ditch the screen if you guys want. That's not the problem.
It's such a pretty screen.
It is. Thank you again.
It's a
Victoria's
really nice
dad made
screen.
this, and I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
look-
It's a beautiful screen.
Thank you.
I like using it.
I feel really silly now. No, but as you are brought out here, you begin getting surrounded by these people as they're kind of standing up. People excited. People are coming down some of the steps to go from the higher viewing chambers. People are coming. You hear these questions being asked. Did you really find a necromancer? Wait, who are you? Are you working with the Ashen League? Like, people are really excited about
Kill the blue dragon.
the Smiles.
This guy.
And the Ashen League
How
sucks.
big was the dragon?
And the Ashen League sucks.
You start spinning. The Ashen League sucks.
The Ashen League sucks.
Importantly, did we ever find out information on what would happen to Gwenny afterwards? Will we have her body returned to us?
Yes, if you'd like to have. So the original intent was to have her brought, and like, it's your decision. I'll let Jake and Amanda meta-wise decide this. The original intent was she was going to be sent to Gwynwyn's family in the Vorax Empire. You guys weren't paying for that. But if you don't want that to happen, it does not have to happen. That was originally Amanda's suggestion out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still what you would like?
Yes.
So Gwynwyn is gone, but it's not in a... Okay, Gwynwyn is gone.
But not
Gwynwyn's
forgotten.
body is gone, but not in a bad way.
There were, I do want to say, items in a certain bag of yours.
Round
that are
ore.
no longer. Roundmore.
We also need Roundhook back.
However,
5 days for
one
that.
outcome of this trial is you do not keep the lament.
It doesn't matter. I want round.
That's
Lament
fine.
is going to be brought back to see if it can be,
Fixed.
if they can fix the temple.
That wasn't
Fun
in
fact,
charge.
I
Having
couldn't
a
really use
unknown
the lament very well.
species.
I am not a cleric.
People are
Wrong dice.
excited, and eventually, a barrel of a man begins pushing through here, and then you see him and the man next to him. You see Don Teal once more, having spoken about you in this trial, speaking to your character and to your actions here. Ha ha! Success once more for the Smiles.
I like you so much better than Lionheart.
Shh.
I think we should go somewhere. Maybe find a drink. Oh, you can show me this warehouse. I've heard so much.
Yeah, and then we'll
Allegedly,
have to
it's
walk
in
home
pieces.
and pee on the way.
Before, as we start leaving,
Round more.
oh my gosh.
It's been so long.
My baby.
Yosef, I will say this: as the crowd is like, Don Teal's like kind of pushing the crowds being brought back. You do see that one of the Crown's Guard here is escorting Yosef, who is manacled. Yosef and Milton are in chains.
Oh, God, I don't want to save Yosef. I want to save Milton.
We'll be back.
What is wrong with you? Yosef is best boy.
Milton's best boy.
That like he stops next to you. Like there's kind of a very positive mood in here. Everyone's very excited about this. What's happening? I'm so lucky to have met you all. I'm sorry, Miss Meanie. I did some. I may not have shot her, but I was complicit. If you catch this man, I promise I'll do better.
Yosef, do you know what happens to elves after they die?
Jesus Christ.
I'm same thing as everyone else, I suppose.
Except, no, because, well, not me. Who the hell knows what happens to me? But for full-blooded elves, they get to have another life.
You mean she's not gone?
I mean, not her soul. She's probably a little baby out there somewhere.
Well, that's nice to think about.
I'm gonna hug Brask.
And I'm so sorry, Bryce.
I'm sorry for not telling you, but I thought you would protest.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. 6 months?
6.
Well, it's a bit more complicated than that, financially, but you needn't worry yourself. You all have done so much for me, and Adon will be the guildmaster now, and we'll be more than happy. He'll do an amazing job, and...
What comes after?
What do you mean?
After the time.
I find new work.
This is unacceptable to me, and I will do everything I can to prevent that from happening.
Well, it sounds like you've got one impossible task before you with this painter, so...
What's 2?
Wait, so they're not being released
Also-
at all? They're staying in
They're staying. They're going to the Arches. They're going to lockup.
And they're going to jail.
They're not on house arrest.
RIP.
I mean, you,
Gonna sneak-
how do you feel about Jubilee?
The general state of emotion, it's positive.
Cool. There's always second options.
The place!
Yes.
They realize it talks about it a little bit more. Silas? Gwynwyn wouldn't have wanted you in chains.
She also wouldn't have wanted you in chains. She respected you.
Yes, and she loved you.
She was
She had a
kinda-
big heart. But so do you. Get out there and use it. Taps you in the chest with his hands.
I hate you.
And give the new recruits hell.
I'm pretty sure that is now Adon's job.
Torturing one person.
Oh my god.
We ruined a man's career.
Yeah, we did. What advice
I'm gonna get him a new
do you
career.
have
if I have to
for
tell
leading
him
the
for it.
guild while you're gone?
I would offer no advice to Adon. He was already halfway to doing it already.
I guess we'll make sure that he does a good job then. Whatever we can do.
Oh, and if you lose all of my new recruits that we hard earned to the Ashen League, I'll bust out of the lockup myself. That's a joke. He turns to the guard. That's a joke.
It's already a shame. Oh, no, never mind. I'm kidding.
Get like really ripped.
You'll keep him in line.
Don't trust him.
Yes.
He'll begin to walk away.
Oh, question. How are the guards reacting now to Defiant Smiles?
It's night and day. You can't be in this room filled with so many people who are looking on like you're heroes and think, oh, these guys are the worst. Hearing these testimonies from 2 of the captains of the guard. There are only 4 captains at all. Mm-hmm. Half of the high command of the Eltzian guard has vouched for you as heroes.
It's pretty nice.
That's pretty nice.
You're welcome for me yanking an antler.
Can I
out of
remind
his
you,
side. you
you are incredibly powerful and have now saved you. They did not just learn about you saving the city once with Zarathal. Mm-hmm. They've also learned how you saved Karthholm and Red Rock. They have learned how you've now been tasked with this strange enigmatic mission by the High Judge to go and seek something out to save other people who you've now endeared the city to. These people, it's infectious. What's up, Jake? Why time out? Time
We
in.
get our stuff back. Though.
Yes.
Because there was a
Everything
lot
but the
of
Martyr's
weird
Lament. We'll go through everything just to triple check. If there's other obvious stolen stuff, we would ditch that. I don't think there is. You do notice there's a small amount of coinage that has been taken,
That's fine.
but we'll talk about it.
I was worried.
There's some pilfering going, just some light pilfering,
I was
which
worried
we'll
my
discuss
belt was gone.
next time.
Wait, before we go, they didn't send anyone.
Talk a little louder or into the mic.
They didn't send anyone.
Why would they? We were fine the entire time.
That's not actually true.
I just had hoped.
No. So,
No, you heard the voice. You heard the voice.
you're like talking. Well, and
I'm, like, in the
and there's a
zone.
voice behind you that kind of speaks up. Hi there.
Hi?
Your mothers told me you needed quite a bit of help.
You know this
They
guy?
sent me. Although it seems like in the end I was not necessary.
You know.
There is a silver dragonborn clad in bronze armor, and at the center, you see the heart of his armor. Like, there's old cracks where a silver inlet has been placed. It has been reforged at some point here. In the silver edifice, you see the profile of a dragon. You know this to be one of the sigils of the Runic Legion.
Buddy.
How's my favorite niece doing?
I'm your favorite? Really?
Yours only, a Brad.
Favorite niece, huh?
Phelan doesn't count. Phelan's a boy. Phelan's a nephew.
To say more would be very rude. But you know this to be your Uncle Laholt. You know, I had come here with a deal from the north, but this ended much better.
So we do have diplomatic immunity.
What was
Oh
the
no,
deal?
that would have required quite a bit of effort from you, but,
Immunity?
well,
What was the deal?
this way you don't have to compete in the tournament.
Wait, no. No, but
She's not supposed to know
I
about
can
the
compete in
tournament?
the tournament.
Oh,
They're not gonna pull me out.
Originally, we were going
like,
to
come up
offer
with a thing?
to
Oh, you're
allow
getting all
the
sweaty.
Eltz to send representatives to the Tournament of Blades.
We could still make that deal.
Can you put it off for 30 days?
We have something more
the
to
dragon
worry
board-
about.
You don't know what this tournament is, Silas.
Unfortunately, I don't have much time before I have to go.
You're not staying?
No, unfortunately, I do have to
Come
leave.
to our semi-destroyed warehouse.
As I have a few hours, you'd like to give me a bit of a tour, but then I must meet up with Insepa.
Almost all my favorite places
Does the
have
name
burned
Seppa
down.
sound familiar?
Oh, these are my friends.
No.
Please meet them.
Oh, hi there. I'm Laholt.
Nice to meet you.
I'm
This is my best uncle, and you can tell Nereus of that.
Wait, what is he looking for?
How are
He's
you
a silver
related?
Silver
Dragonborn.
Dragonborn. What was that?
How are you related? Married?
Oh, well, you see,
Have you heard of the Guardians?
her mothers are two of my oldest friends. They saved me when I was but a boy. Well, I suppose I was 40, but, well, I was in a very small box before then.
Uncle with a like an asterisk on it.
No asterisks. He only has blood family. Is so weird.
Every NPC who knows Laurentius is blown away, the word asterisk.
Yeah, point. You're kind
It's
of
the one
He
that
just
goes
learned
like
to-
this and has the dot at the bottom, right?
why don't we go somewhere, have a nice meal, my treat, and I'll tell you the story of how I met her mothers.
Oh, I'd love
Wait.
that.
You gave us a little Laholt as a treat.
I love the whole. I missed him.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on footnotes. But as our heroes, and I should say, as the city of Eltz would recognize, these heroes leave the castle to chat up with some family before beginning their new adventure, we're going to stop our session tonight. And when we come back, this is a bit of new information actually for the table as well. You'll be meeting a new Stories to D4. You're gonna hear a bunch of new music. You're gonna see some big changes. Might even see some maps, and the start of the next chapter of our adventures. Our heroes are now working for the High Judge, seeking out a painter they've had a grudge for quite some time. But there are deadlier threats lurking in the shadows. So when we come back, you're going to be seeing all sorts of new and improved stories. Stories, let's call it 2.0.
2.0.
Source D4 2.0.
Stories to D 4.2, my
Squared.
ship. But when we get back, we're going to see all sorts of changes. And I'm really excited both for you guys to get to witness it and for you all to get to play it. 'Cause I got some spicy stuff prepped for you.
Let's do it.
Spicy.
You are all fantastic players, and I thank you for being at my table. Our table.
My table.
Thank you.
Victoria's
thank you
table.
for being at Victoria's table.
I was gonna say thank you, Victoria, for saving our asses.
Thank you, Victoria. for your-
And
Shout out to your IRL charisma score.
can you hand these 2 bicycles to Victoria, please, for being an incredible
wow.
lawyer? I
Rich.
would have painted like Phoenix Wright on them, but that would have been really hard, and I didn't want to.
I love Phoenix Wright games. This is so good for me.
I also am excited to announce that very soon the largest miniature Stories has seen so far will be making its appearance.
Silas finally gets a miniature?
Ha! Good night, and we'll see you this Sunday for
This
footnotes.
Sunday for footnotes.
See you this Sunday for footnotes, and next Friday, the next session of Stories D4. Good night.
Nice.
Night. it.
Great job, guys.